For 60 years, University Technology Mara or UITM has been the place for acquiring knowledge and developing capabilities. From a training center to now a vast network of universities, UITM has campuses and faculties all over Malaysia. UITM allows for the pursuing of goals and earning a degree in any field of choice, with a mission to enhance the knowledge and expertise of Bumiputras in all fields of study, through professional programs, research work and community service, while upholding moral values and professional ethics. Nestled amidst the greenery and some of the most scenic areas in the country, each university campus is strategically located in places where their presence inevitably provides an economic boost to the local community. UITM pledges to provide maximum opportunities to pursue professionally recognized programs of study in science, technology, industry, business, arts and humanities. University Technology Mara offers quality education at all levels of study, from foundation to postgraduate. The university has always been at the forefront in science and technology as well as in management. It is a place where talent, skills and excellence are nurtured. UITM has a mission to empower the indigenous people through the provision of higher education in accordance with Article 153 of the Malaysian Federal Constitution and Act 173 University Technology Mara Act 1976. Duli Yang Maha Mulia, Sri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong is the Chancellor of UITM by virtue of his status as the King, as provided for by the law. UITM has established 8 centers of excellence and 1 high COE to enhance the scholastic, creative and innovative capabilities of the university, as well as to facilitate and manage research and development. To complete the teaching and learning activities at UITM, the university has made available modern and contemporary facilities such as the Uitm Stadium, the house of UITM FC. With a capacity of 6,000, the stadium is the heart of soccer and it has played host to an international match in 2009. UITM also has an Olympic-sized swimming pool for the use of students and staff. The pool is also open to public on certain days. Built in 1972, Perpustakaan Tun Abdul Razak, or the Pita Library, has grown by leaps and bounds, housing thousands of international titles for all programs of study. Students' participation in extracurricular activities is highly encouraged and supported by the university. These activities would not only equip students with soft skills, but also train them to be balanced and holistic individuals to meet global requirements. As the largest public university in Malaysia, University Technology Mara has produced thousands of alumni who are successful individuals in their disciplines. They are award winners, innovators, entrepreneurs and leaders in both the government and private sectors. UITM honors its alumni by engaging them to establish smart partnerships resulting in strategic alliances. The alumni also gives back in areas such as academic improvements, charity work and fundraising. University Technology Mara, Usaha Takwa Mulia. For 60 years, University Technology Mara, or UITM, has been the place for acquiring knowledge and developing capabilities. From a training center to now a vast network of universities, UITM has campuses and faculties all over Malaysia. UITM allows for the pursuing of goals and earning a degree in any field of choice, with a mission to enhance the knowledge and expertise of Bumiputras in all fields of study, through professional programs, research work and community service, while upholding moral values and professional ethics. Nestled amidst the greenery and some of the most scenic areas in the country, each university campus is strategically located in places where their presence inevitably provides an economic boost to the local community. UITM pledges to provide maximum opportunities to pursue professionally recognized programs of study in science, technology, industry, business, arts and humanities. University Technology Mara offers quality education at all levels of study, from foundation to postgraduate. The university has always been at the forefront in science and technology, as well as in management. It is a place where talent, skills and excellence are nurtured. UITM has a mission to empower the indigenous people through the provision of higher education in accordance with Article 153 of the Malaysian Federal Constitution and Act 173, University Technology Mara Act 1976. Duli Yang Maha Mulia, Sri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong is the Chancellor of UITM by virtue of his status as the King, as provided for by the law. UITM has established 8 centers of excellence and 1 high COE to enhance the scholastic, creative and innovative capabilities of the university, as well as to facilitate and manage research and development. To complete the teaching and learning activities at UITM, the university has made available modern and contemporary facilities such as the Uitm Stadium, the house of UITM FC. With a capacity of 6,000, the stadium is the heart of soccer and it has played host to an international match in 2009. UITM also has an Olympic-sized swimming pool for the use of students and staff. The pool is also open to public on certain days. Built in 1972, Perpustakaan Tun Abdul Razak, or the Pita Library, has grown by leaps and bounds, housing thousands of international titles for all programs of study. Students' participation in extracurricular activities is highly encouraged and supported by the university. These activities would not only equip students with soft skills, but also train them to be balanced and holistic individuals to meet global requirements. As the largest public university in Malaysia, University Technology Mara has produced thousands of alumni who are successful individuals in their disciplines. They are award winners, innovators, entrepreneurs and leaders in both the government and private sectors. UITM honors its alumni by engaging them to establish smart partnerships resulting in strategic alliances. The alumni also gives back in areas such as academic improvements, charity work and fundraising. University Technology Mara, Usaha, Takwa, Mulia.
Assalamualaikum, Azrin. Azrin.
Saya sini.
Azrin, you dah dapat I punya letter?
For 60 years, University Technology Mara, or UITM, has been the place for acquiring knowledge and developing capabilities. From a training center to now a vast network of universities, UITM has campuses and faculties all over Malaysia. UITM allows for the pursuing of goals and earning a degree in any field of choice, with a mission to enhance the knowledge and expertise of Bumiputras in all fields of study, through professional programs, research work and community service, while upholding moral values and professional ethics. Nestled amidst the greenery and some of the most scenic areas in the country, each university campus is strategically located in places where their presence inevitably provides an economic boost to the local community. UITM pledges to provide maximum opportunities to pursue professionally recognized programs of study in science, technology, industry, business, arts and humanities. University Technology Mara offers quality education at all levels of study, from foundation to postgraduate. The university has always been at the forefront in science and technology, as well as in management. It is a place where talent, skills and excellence are nurtured. UITM has a mission to empower the indigenous people through the provision of higher education in accordance with Article 153 of the Malaysian Federal Constitution and Act 173 University Technology Mara Act 1976. Duli Yang Maha Mulia, Sri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong is the Chancellor of UITM by virtue of his status as the King, as provided for by the law. UITM has established 8 centers of excellence and 1 high COE to enhance the scholastic, creative and innovative capabilities of the university, as well as to facilitate and manage research and development. To complete the teaching and learning activities at UITM, the university has made available modern and contemporary facilities such as the Uitm Stadium, the house of UITM FC. With a capacity of 6,000, the stadium is the heart of soccer and it has played host to an international match in 2009. UITM also has an Olympic-sized swimming pool for the use of students and staff. The pool is also open to public on certain days. Built in 1972, Perpustakaan Tun Abdul Razak, or the Pita Library, has grown by leaps and bounds, housing thousands of international titles for all programs of study. Students' participation in extracurricular activities is highly encouraged and supported by the university. These activities would not only equip students with soft skills, but also train them to be balanced and holistic individuals to meet global requirements. As the largest public university in Malaysia, University Technology Mara has produced thousands of alumni who are successful individuals in their disciplines. They are award winners, innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders in both the government and private sectors. UITM honors its alumni by engaging them to establish smart partnerships resulting in strategic alliances. The alumni also gives back in areas such as academic improvements, charity work, and fundraising. University Technology Mara, Usaha Takwa Mulia. For 60 years, University Technology Mara, or UITM, has been the place for acquiring knowledge and developing capabilities. From a training center to now a vast network of universities, UITM has campuses and faculties all over Malaysia. UITM allows for the pursuing of goals and earning a degree in any field of choice, with a mission to enhance the knowledge and expertise of Bumiputras in all fields of study, through professional programs, research work and community service, while upholding moral values and professional ethics. Nestled amidst the greenery and some of the most scenic areas in the country, each university campus is strategically located in places where their presence inevitably provides an economic boost to the local community. UITM pledges to provide maximum opportunities to pursue professionally recognized programs of study in science, technology, industry, business, arts and humanities. University Technology Mara offers quality education at all levels of study, from foundation to postgraduate. The university has always been at the forefront in science and technology, as well as in management. It is a place where talent, skills and excellence are nurtured. UITM has a mission to empower the indigenous people through the provision of higher education in accordance with Article 153 of the Malaysian Federal Constitution and Act 173 University Technology Mara Act 1976. Duli Yang Maha Mulia, Sri Paduka Baginda Yang di-Pertuan Agong is the Chancellor of UITM by virtue of his status as the King, as provided for by the law. UITM has established 8 centers of excellence and 1 high COE to enhance the scholastic, creative and innovative capabilities of the university, as well as to facilitate and manage research and development. To complete the teaching and learning activities at UITM, the university has made available modern and contemporary facilities such as the Uitm Stadium, the house of UITM FC. With a capacity of 6,000, the stadium is the heart of soccer and it has played host to an international match in 2009. UITM also has an Olympic-sized swimming pool for the use of students and staff. The pool is also open to public on certain days. Built in 1972, Perpustakaan Tun Abdul Razak, or the Pita Library, has grown by leaps and bounds, housing thousands of international titles for all programs of study. Students' participation in extracurricular activities is highly encouraged and supported by the university. These activities would not only equip students with soft skills, but also train them to be balanced and holistic individuals to meet global requirements. As the largest public university in Malaysia, University Technology Mara has produced thousands of alumni who are successful individuals in their disciplines. They are award winners, innovators, entrepreneurs and leaders in both the government and private sectors. UITM honors its alumni by engaging them to establish smart partnerships resulting in strategic alliances. The alumni also gives back in areas such as academic improvements, charity work and fundraising. University Technology Mara, Usaha Takwa Mulia.
his insight.
Thank you, Shahir. Hi, everyone. Assalamualaikum and very good afternoon. I also like to echo Shahir's welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I think the theme is very, very interesting, real and livelihood, and brought to you by UITM and also MARIC, the Malaysian Rail Industry Corporation. So let me thank, I have to thank our VIP speaker, Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Haji Ismail bin Haji Abdul Muttalib, the Deputy Minister, Ministry of Housing and Local Government, or in short KPKT. Thank you, sir, for joining us and championing this symposium, and we look forward to your opening speech for directions and wisdom. I also like to thank Professor Dr. Jamalullah Laili Abdullah, Dean of Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying UITM, who's also giving the keynote speech. We look forward to that also, Prof. Distinguished panelists, some are very familiar faces. I see Milko, I see Hasri, I see Dr. Arvin and the rest. Well, thank you for joining us and spending your valuable time to give us some insights on the rail industry. But let me also mention that the representatives are from the Ministry of Transport, the International Union of Railways, Railway Asset Corporation, Rapid Rail, Malaysian Institute of Planners, and also from MARIC. So thank you very much for all your participation. And also, just to mention our collaborator, the Malaysian Institute of Planners, and big support from many agencies and organizations, Academy KTM, Prasarana, UTHM, UTA, UniKL, MPITC, and the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport. Thank you for your support. I would like to start by congratulating UITM and MARIC for this very innovative and interesting initiative to bring together like-minded people from different backgrounds, from the public sector, private sector, NGOs, and also from the academia. And I also have to thank the people behind the scene, especially Hanif, the Secretary General of MARIC, Zamrin from UITM, and Zeti from MIC, who has been very important in organizing this event. So I'm very happy that the Deputy Minister of KPKT is joining us because MIC and KPKT has done a lot of work together, especially in the area of sustainable development and smart cities. And when you talk about smart cities, somehow the perception is that you have to have a modern and good railway services. That is up for discussion, of course, later. Let me focus on three key points that I just like to make as a background to this symposium. The rail industry is somehow on a collision course, forgive the pun, with the Sustainable Development Goals, the SDGs from the Paris Convention, the fourth industrial revolution, and also currently the things like the pandemic crisis. So somehow we have to think about how we're going to include or diffuse many of these things into our rail industry development. So for example, I think in terms of sustainable development goals, we're talking about using of more green and sustainable materials and how we operate using the energy that are green and etc. So I think right from the manufacturing up to the start of the services to the consumers, we have to think green and sustainability. The fourth industrial revolution actually calls for the rail industry to think more innovation, especially applying many of the emerging technologies into the rail industry and rail systems. We talk about IoT, blockchain, 3D printing, and etc. has to be part and parcel of the rail industry development. So being progressive and resilient is key in how we look at the rail industry into the future. Second point is that the rail industry, the rail system and services is part of a bigger economic and social and environmental picture or ecosystem. So when we plan, it's very key that we include all these elements as one wholesome planning approach. At MIT, we actually apply foresight methodology to give us a picture of the scenario in the future and how it will impact things that we are planning right now. And then we have this metrics, we call it FIRST, financing or funding, infrastructure, uh, uh, regulatory and policy. I forget how to spell first. And then you have the skills and talent, and then you have the technology at the end. So it's not just one of it, it has to be a combination of all these elements. So you have to have it right. Funding, infrastructure, regulatory and policy, skills and talent, and also technology and innovation. So it makes up the word FIRST. So I think this is a very important element that we need to look at transport or rail services or industry as part of a bigger economic and social fabric. Third point is that government is a catalyst to this development. I think in the past few days, we have heard a few announcements by the Minister of Transport on the ECRL and also on the MRT3 commencement in the next few months. So this must be a very exciting time for us to discuss about rail. But we look at the huge investments on rail infrastructure and services as something that we want to reap as much return as possible. Yes, we're going to get a good service. We're going to use a modern rail system, but we also want to look at building industry, local industry, and also to actually build competency and the interest in the rail and industry development. So those are, I think, three key points which I think is very, very key for the way we look at rail industry now and also how it's going to operate and develop in the future. So once again, I'd like to thank everybody, especially Yang Hormat Deputy Minister for making his time to be part of this ISORAIL 2021. Look forward to the discussion, and I hope that there will be a very interesting discussion and some kind of takeaway that we can actually use for our planning and for the rail industry development. So once again, thank you everybody, and I hope it's going to be a very enjoyable ISORAIL 2021 for all of you. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Thank you to Yang Berbahagia Datuk Dr. Muhammad Yusof bin Sulaiman for the speech and insight. Without ado, I welcome Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Haji Ismail bin Haji Abdul Muttalib, Deputy Minister, Ministry of Housing and Local Government, to give an opening speech and remark.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Salatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya salin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Bismillah li sadri wa yassir li amri wa hlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Yang bahagia Datuk Dr. Muhammad Yusof Sulaiman, President of the Malaysia Rail Industry Corporation, MARIS. Yang bahagia Profesor Town Planner Dr. Jamalul Laili Abdullah, Dean of Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying, UITM. Barik Council speakers, participants, ladies and gentlemen. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good evening. It is my great pleasure to welcome you to the first International Symposium, The Rail and Livelihood, ISORAIL 2021, jointly organized by Center of Studies, Town and Regional Planning, Faculty of Architecture, Planning and Surveying, University Technology Mara, with the Malaysian Rail Industry Corporation, MARIC, in collaboration with the Malaysian Institute of Planner, MIP, and the Malaysian Industry Group for High Technology, MIND. ISORAIL 2021 is the first webinar series organized between UITM and MARIS. This international symposium is a unique opportunity to share achievement, challenges, vision about rail industry, and how it touched the livelihood in Malaysia. Ladies and gentlemen, in Malaysia, to discuss on this subject matter, transit-oriented development, TOD, is increasingly becoming a priority for developer and property companies to lead urban planning toward creating a quality, prosperous, and sustainable living environment. What we are doing now is like the rest of the world, which has seen a tremendous concentration of being focused into the TOD implementation in several countries such as Singapore, China, Australia, India, and United States of America. Ladies and gentlemen, urbanization planning regarding TOD in Malaysia is taken by both governmental and private institutions, where any proposal for a new public transportation route, especially railway, will prioritize the importance to connect people, mobilize them safely with cost efficiency. The livelihood and human well-being in Malaysia were addressed by ensuring a complete last mile connectivity and to achieve a seamless journey in public transportation and urbanization. Ladies and gentlemen, the practical approach is to have government, local council, and private sectors to jointly develop a township scheme that enables the people to use public transport to live, work, and play every day. The collaboration between the industry and academia can further enhance the future development and planning of urbanization in this country in areas such as industrial collaboration, research, and study, as well as into the aspect of the railways operability and sustainability. Railways, being the backbone of the land public transportation, is looking forward for the new incentives for sustainable operation and maintenance, propelled by non-fare revenue scheme that may come from the TOD. Ladies and gentlemen, government, state and private developers may increase their value of property and making the township adorable and likable by clients, public, and the community. I wish to congratulate the committee and everybody of you all, which consists of MARIC and UITM, whom have been working hard in ensuring the success of the program. I do hope this commitment continues and shall look forward to seeing the outcome from this seminar to be adaptable and helps the country forward. Dengan lapas Bismillahirrahmanirrahim dan ucapan terima kasih speakers and participants. Pas Bismillahirrahmanirrahim, merasmikan Symposium pada hari ini. Wabillahi taufik. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Thank you to Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Haji Ismail bin Haji Abdul Muttalib for the opening speech. I will now invite Professor Tom Planner Dr. Jamalul Laili Abdullah, the Dean of Faculty Architecture, Planning and Surveying. Let's hear from him his experience and view on the subject. The floor is yours, Doctor.
Okay, thank you very much, Syahid Aiman, OMC today, and Dr. Azrin. Yang Berhormat Datuk Seri Haji Ismail bin Haji Abdul Muttalib, Deputy Minister KPKT. Also Yang Bahagia Datuk Dr. Muhammad Yusof Sulaiman, President of MARIC, as well as all the distinguished speakers, panelists, participants, and also various organizations who are involved in this virtual conference today. And so congratulations to the organizing committee, and thank you very much Datuk Dr. Yusof for collaborating with FSPU UITM, and we are really excited for this collaboration, and we hope can do more research towards the rail industry, which is something that I'm trained as town planner, so we town planner really will truly support rail as main mode of transportation in our urban areas. And the good news, I think yesterday or the day before, that the circle line will be constructed. And if you look at when I used to be in the panel at DBKL, looking at the local plan, looking at the circle line is the line that's going to complete basically the rail system in the Klang Valley. So it's indeed a good news really for the rail enthusiasts that the circle line will connect the various lines that we currently have here in the Klang Valley. I think I'm given about 30 minutes for presentation today. So I try to make it within the stipulated time. And so my paper today is more on the TOD, its implementation in Malaysia, and it's really being a keynote paper is perhaps like sharing some of the research that has been done, and really to open up for the discussion later on by the panelists. Okay, I think one of the panelists will be talking about TOD as well. I think General Manager from Encik Adam, General Manager of the Railway Asset Corporation. Okay. Okay. So TOD is basically, so this is like kind of a key catalyst of a non-fare revenue aspect in the rail operation sustainability. And as we know that with the rail here, you have one is like to transport the people, but it's also an opportunity for us to develop the real estate in urban area, and also to reduce the problem that happened in the Klang Valley, especially in the 90s, where we had really what we call as, I would still call it as uncontrolled urban sprawl at that time. That in a way during that time, the use of land was 10 times more than the population growth. So basically, for like 10% population increase, we open up 100% more land. And these are what they call as the green field. And that's why we start to see people moving further away from the city center, and created gridlock. Like those who are staying way out there, maybe in Hulu Langat, in Kuala Langat, and then in Klang, and they commit to Kuala Lumpur because of that urban, maybe the land is cheaper there, but what happened is that it is unsustainable urban development. Okay, and if unchecked, then what happened is that we're going to lose a lot of our resources. And case in point was that I think during my research was that in 1980, Hulu Langat, its population was about 1/10 the size of city of Kuala Lumpur. But by the year 2020, about 20 years later, its population was about almost the size of city of Kuala Lumpur. And what happened was that there's a lot of development in Hulu Langat, which I mean, it's attractive for people to move there, but the consequence is that Hulu Langat is our water catchment area. Okay, so and we started to have a lot of issues with our water. So during the dry season, our tap will run dry, and then in other time, also then the water is easily polluted and affect our water supply. So those are the things, like from the perspective of urban planner, that we need to control the urban sprawl that happen in the Klang Valley. And one of the best way of doing it is that the transit-oriented development. That is to ask people, really to attract people to live within the around the stations, the rail stations. Okay, and with the completion of the Circle Line later on, then I think this is really great for us. And at the same time, when I teach my students, like I told them, when they graduate, when they get a job, okay, rather than looking for buying a car, I'd advise them buy a unit, a residential unit in the TOD area, because nowadays that is where the trend is now. And then now we got the Grab, okay, so they don't really need a car. They have like everything is within walking distance, okay, and then they got their apartment there, and then take the rail and go to their workplace and go anywhere using the train. And then if they need to go to places that is not served by the rail line, then they can they can always get Grab to take them. And then during the weekend, they can always rent a car to go back to their villages or to go for vacation during the weekend. Okay, so here today I'm just talking about what the TOD is all about, and that perhaps some of the research that has been done on the TOD. Okay, next. Okay, so TOD, what is basically, it is really is for availability and connectivity of public transport services. And also what we have there, so the two main components there, which is public transport services, and then the development of the property, which is through the land use mix diversity. Okay, so we have the diversified land use, and then higher residential density, and then land use intensity, and this is more for employment and pedestrian connectivity. And it's also it's a land use strategy that focuses on enhancing accessibility, more on to encourage compact, high density, mixed use development. And this is really a recipe for us to control urban sprawl. When you have a development which is compact and high density, then you're going to use less of the green field in the suburbs. And also for exercise, it's like easy walk. Okay, it's not really exercise like taxing on the citizens, so which is like within 400 to 800 meters. This is for the pedestrian scale distance. It also TOD, what it does is to integrate the MRT or LRT system and the land use development. So with this, then we're able to get the coordination, and it is to encourage the use of public transport and to create a pedestrian-friendly urban environment. So that's basically a combination of the land use as well as the transit system. Next. Okay. So when to do the TOD here, then you have like the four main components. Look at the column, which is one is the transport and the land use planning. Okay, and in addition, there's a property development there, and then the railway and the station design, and also in it financing. Okay, so with the four components there, we have the three stages of the TOD, the stage 1 is more on the strategy. So for the transport land use, looking at a land use optimization. Okay, what is the best land use to encourage the TOD, and then together with the transport corridor plan. So we need these two here. And then for the property, which is looking at what are opportunities to develop there. And for the people in the rail industry, in terms of preliminary route and then engineering component, and then for financing, looking is there a case for investment. When we go for the stage 2, the station planning, and then so for the land use is a transport network plan, and then this is where the property really comes in on this, the property master plan, and then with the urban design, because being such in the compact area, then we need kind of a really a very nice urban design which caters for the needs of the residents or the workers in that area. And then together with the station planning, and then the railway, they start to have the railway operation and alignment engineering, and then the financing also starting to look at the outline. What is the business case for that? And then the stage 3 is that the scheme development, which is also at this stage is focused more on the property, the design, and the commercial retail plan, and then the station design, as well as engineering design. And then after that, for the financing strategy, we are looking here for the full business case. So these are the 3 main stages, as well as the 4 main variables in terms of the TOD development. Next. Okay. So based on that, the 5 components of the TOD basically, of course, the quality transit facilities and service. And then in terms of the land use is walkable, high quality pedestrian environment. And because here we're looking at if we are high density development around the station, then we need the walkable, high quality pedestrian environment. And then also in terms of the destination complete community. So we have the community center and the right mix of users. So through the research, the right mix of users is perhaps a combination to research of the LRT station in Kelana Jaya line. Okay, that is what we found to be the right mix of users, a good mix of commercial and residential. And then also the 4th one, it need to be compact with the highest densities closest to the transit. And then parking also need to be carefully located design. So the highest densities, that's why in urban planning, we encourage the closer it is to the station, then the more incentive given to developers, perhaps a higher plot ratio closest to the centers. To the transit center. Next. So this is the principle of that, okay, which is to achieve the resident quality of life. So the characteristics is basically grid street pattern, okay. So in our city, some follow the grid iron system, but with the grid, then it's easier to develop it, okay. And higher population densities, also pedestrian and bicycle-oriented design, because I think people will start, maybe they don't need a car, then what they need is only bicycle, and then surface parking and efficient parking management. And mixed housing type, so it needs like the multi-family. Of course, now what you see around the TOD tend to be high-rise apartments, okay. And then also in terms of horizontal, which is side by side, as well as vertical mixed use. So this is a development where in the lower level you see like commercial development, but the higher level of the same buildings are used for residential. What you see in the condominium now, and then need to include office and retail, particularly on the main street. So the variables that need to be there. Next. Okay. And so we also have this guideline of TOD. So this draft guideline, we can get it from Federal Department of Town and Country Planning, or now known as Plan Malaysia. So this draft planning guideline for livable compact city. So to achieve compact city, then TOD is basically the answer. So with this guideline here, it have identifies the transit-friendly land users, and then mix or multiple users, and then those also which can operate around the clock. So you're going to have a vibrant and safe transit services. And then we also have the efficient and safe environment that it designed such a way that it need to have the simplest connectivity with all modes of transport. And this is like rapid KL buses, and then also with the IR 4.0 energy efficient, and then the surveillance of that. So what is proposed here is that to encourage this compact development, and perhaps in the guideline will provide like 30% bonus of plot ratio. Okay, so if developers are given higher plot ratio, then it's incentive for them to build around the LRT station. Okay, and then I think it has been done, I think at DBKL, is in practice that if it is within the TOD, then developers are given a bonus of 0.5, additional 0.5 plot ratio. And I think there is, perhaps there's a plan to increase that to be percentage. So here a maximum of 30% bonus plot ratio and higher density around the LRT. Okay, and in addition to that TOD, then this is like a high intensity development, rapid, rail-based high intensity development. Next. Okay, so we have seen this. This is example overseas, Singapore, TOD at Jurong East MRT station, which tend to be what they call as a successful one. Okay, and on the right, in Hong Kong, okay, Hong Kong's TOD. Okay, so as we know, public transport usage in Hong Kong is the highest in the world at 90%. The model split. I think in Kuala Lumpur, our model split 20 to 80. Okay, so I think before this even worse. So we are trying to increase the model split so that higher percentage of the population, the people are using public transport. Okay, and then so basically in Hong Kong is the backbone is the MTR, okay, which accounts for 37% of the 4.7 million passenger trip. Okay, and then so TOD has contributed to high usage of the MTR. So, and what happened is that they are able to retain a low commuting cost. So basically, if the high usage of the MRT, MTR here, then they can provide the service at a lower cost. Okay, so and then so fare book recovery ratio is very high, like up to 180%. So basically, it's an essential part of Hong Kong today, and then also in Singapore, and perhaps in the Klang Valley after we have completed all the lines provided in the plan. Next. Okay, and then so looking at in Malaysia, there's a few studies that there are many studies that have been done, so I'll be able to review some of them, and also have conducted a couple of the study on the TOD in Malaysia. Next. Okay, and basically the concept here is not really new, but it has been there in the National Physical Plan. So in 2005, okay, as well as policy, National Physical Plan 2010, it clearly states that transit-oriented development shall be promoted as the basis for urban land use planning to ensure viability of public transport. So basically, for the public transport, for the rail line to be viable, it needs to be supported by the TOD. Okay, so and this policy has been replicated, okay, echoed in the state structure plan, especially the Selangor Structure Plan 2020, as well as Kuala Lumpur City Plan 2020, and also down south. It's also included in the Iskandar region compressive development plans. So all our land use plans in the main metropolitan areas, they do cover TOD and they do encourage TOD. Okay, so basically all these guidelines set the planning and guidelines. design guideline for livable compact development. Basically, the focus is centers around the TOD. What it does is to identify what is the type, characteristic, and components of a TOD, and then so it's a basis for urban land use planning. Next. Okay, so basically those are the lines in the Klang Valley, and we see that I would say it's quite impressive that we are able to go to many places with this line, and then with the circle line announced about 2 days ago, then we'll be able to connect all of almost all of this line. Because if you look at the circle line, what it does is that it's going to create a lot of intersection of this rail line. Okay. Now the intersection of the rail line may be a few in between certain strategic location, but the circle line is going to add to this number. And then those are really the best candidates for the TOD, because the TOD, there are certain areas designed as TOD. Some tend to be more successful than the others based on their location and their density and the mix of the use. Next. Okay, so this is like a rationale for development. So this is done by Christy Gomez. Okay, looking at that 5 TODs which are planned for Malaysia. Now the ones that perhaps we can see, KL Central is basically the TOD that everybody knows. Okay, because you go to KL Central, it's very compact, and then it has like basically a right mix of it. Although it tend to be focused more towards commercial, okay, and the other one is perhaps Subang Jaya. So Subang Jaya may be a mix of neighborhood as well. So there are these 5 which we believe that once it's completed will be notable TODs. Latitude 8, Tun Razak Exchange, KL 118, which you can see we go to KL now, it's almost completed, and right next to it would be close by is Menara Maybank Tower, but the 118 is like almost more than twice as high as Menara Maybank, and then Bandar Malaysia and KL Metropolis. So this one TOD is, as mentioned, a boost strategic settlement spatial economic establishment. Okay, and TOD is really something important, because what happened now is that now it's a competition among cities. It's not just competition among countries, it's competition among cities. That is the National Physical Plan, like strategies for Kuala Lumpur to be really the cities. Of course, there was in the plan, like last time by 2020, KL wants to be like 2020 in the world, top 20 economically, top 20 in terms of quality of life. So with the TOD and then with the complete rail system, okay, we should be able to get there. Okay, although it may take a bit of time, but that is basically with the rail system and the TOD that will take us to make Kuala Lumpur, the Klang Valley, to be competitive and that can compete with other cities in the region, such as Jakarta, Bangkok, and Singapore. Next. And so those are the 5 places in the city that we feel that can be developed. That's KL 118 and Bandar Malaysia. So of course this is like the artist's impression of the development once it is completed. So this becomes the notes of new development within KL, and the TOD will encourage that development to a greater height. Next. Okay, and also up north, we also have a TOD in Georgetown, although this is perhaps the only one in Penang, okay, which is in Penang Central. So what we got there, commercial buildings, residential units, being built in the Ktm Station. Of course, nearby you have the ferry service and the bus terminal. So this is what they call integrated hub. Okay, and so it becomes an interchange point for all rail transit for Uitm and Tanjung Tokong. Okay, and also through the pedestrian connectivity. Okay, next. Okay, so basically how Penang Center looks like. Okay, so this is like kind of the proposal how we're going to make it happen on that. Okay, from landscape Institute Ilam. Okay, so with that, a lot of other things related to the heritage of Penang can be linked to the transport system, okay, as well as the urban development in the Penang Central. Next. And these are the things really how to make the TOD successful. Okay. So the first is that you need to realize it requires coordinated efforts, because as look at just now, to do the TOD you need the industry players, and you need also people in urban development, urban planner and people in the real estate, as well as businesses, the developers, and also financing from the banks. So that is coordinated effort of multiple sectors, and then interlinked development phases. Okay, the 3 phases I mentioned earlier. Okay, and the second one, we need the city support. Okay, because as we know in Malaysia, we have our planning system that we need to have what they call as development order, or basically permission to plan, kebenaran merancang. Okay, so a support of the high density mixed use development around the transit, also priority of developing these areas over others in the metropolitan area. So really the support of the government, okay, especially the city hall in Kuala Lumpur, or in the council in the suburban area, okay, because if they give the support, then perhaps higher plot ratio, and then priority will be given to the TOD areas. Okay, and then the transit accessibility, so has to be in terms that we need to prioritize so that the transit accessibility should be higher than auto accessibility. I think maybe in Kuala Lumpur now is sometimes like our LRT, MRT may be quite difficult for them to compete with automobile, because actually the auto accessibility is higher compared to the rail accessibility in terms of how easy it is to get to the city center using your own public transport, which is easy even though you are stuck in the gridlock, because the toll is low, there is no fee to enter the city, and the parking also is not as high compared to other cities. But in Singapore, basically you want to go to the CBD area, then you have to pay special fee to get in. So in that case, then the transit accessibility is better than the auto accessibility. So if Kuala Lumpur decides really to increase the parking fee and to put the congestion charge, then the transit accessibility will be better compared to auto accessibility. And perhaps that one will come up after the Circle Line is complete, when we have like complete accessibility to the city using rail. And then to implement that, the TOD requires strong legal backing, and then financial planning. Okay, so we need financial means to do that, and appropriate timing. So these are the 4 main components to make the TOD successful. Next. Okay, so same thing just now is for sustainable property management. So good planning with unique design. So we like, I think one of the things that I like about the TOD area compared to the areas in the suburb is that if you go to KL Central, there are various interesting, beautiful building design in KL Central, compared to if we live in the suburb where the houses tend to be the same. So that is really a nice, unique design. And then strong collaboration with outreach communities, sustainable development features, and then which is and then varied tenant mix, which is like residential, commercial, and this is professional property. So all of this is related to property. So this is the people in the real estate management. Okay, so they're looking at one is the location. Okay, so and then technology in management, also effective parking and traffic rules management. And also, of course, most importantly, accessibility to the MRT or transit station nearby. So with this, then the property market will improve as well. Next. Okay, and so Jurong East, one of the successful TOD. Next. Okay, so looking at Jurong East, okay, you have the higher density mixed development around strategic points, right mix of land use and density. So you have the walkable environment there, and then affordable public housing in well-connected places. Okay, and also it's focused on urban renewal and networks. They also have networks that link this Jurong East MRT to industrial parks and the city center. So these are the components that make Jurong East MRT station to be a successful TOD. And this is from Asia Infrastructure Forum. Okay, next. Okay, so Singapore is basically, this is how it's done here. Okay, the 4 tracks and 3 island platform. So it connects basically both the north-south line as well as the east-west lines. So it becomes the interchange for that. And then the TOD there is really a higher density mixed development on the strategic point and the integration of that. Okay, so and we need to put affordable housing as well within that. So it's not just for the those who are well-to-do, but we need also for the segment of the society that need affordable housing. They should be there as well. Next. Okay, looking at Malaysia, a few examples. Next. Okay, so of course we can see KL Central is perhaps, I would say, a good example of successful TOD in the Klang Valley. Okay, because it is like really Malaysia's largest transit hub. And then what happened here is that I remember when I was like in secondary school or when I started university, we go to this area. That time it's like a railway dockyard. Okay, there's some trains there, but that's basically. But now it has been transformed into what it is now. So it consists of, it has the residence, office block, hotels, shopping malls, basically all of those things. And then it's really have a nice design, okay, by the late Dr. Kishore Kurokawa, okay. And then basically completed. And then compared to other TODs, it ranks as the best, okay, because of the mixed use development, relatively high population density and accessibility. So it has like the 3 main components for the successful TOD. Okay, mixed use, high population density, and accessibility. Okay, next. Okay. And then so this is a benefit of that at the KL Central. Okay, so the study here by Gomez as well. So benefit is that it has the environment benefit, the quality of urban design. When look at the design of the buildings in KL Central, is really interesting. I mean, unlike the monotonous design in the suburb area, and it enhances the aesthetic beauty of the urban landscape. So even when you do the score, the main, so in terms of the scale from 1 till 5, then what you see is that this is a survey of the respondent. In a personal view, TOD improved the quality of urban design. Okay, and then in terms of economic benefit, also they found here that generally it encouraged increase in public transport, but at the personal level of the people who interviewed, they said they provide them with better access to local business and retail. For the social benefit, generally provide much needed mobility, but for personal, it has a score quite high, 4.08, that it has key service characteristic that increases the mobility of the people. So KL Central especially has the general and the personal benefit in terms of environment, economics, and social. Next. Okay. And I did a study in terms of another TOD, Bandar Seri Permaisuri. Because Caltop classified TODs, there are 2 types of TOD. One is urban TOD with high commercial and residential densities. Okay, concept officers, classification officers. And that, the first one is KL Central. There's another one we call as neighborhood TOD, which consists of single family houses and apartment and small neighborhood shopping area. Okay, so for the second one, it is Bandar Seri Permaisuri. So I did the research with my student there, and then it has that diversity, density, and design. Okay, because basically transportation and affect each other. We have the grid street pattern pedestrian. Okay, and then So with that high population density Bandar Seri Permaisuri, so looking at the land use around the TOD, so the ridership is very high for the Bandar Seri Permaisuri. Next. Okay, so that is so Bandar Seri Permaisuri physically in terms of urban land use is met the criteria of TOD characteristics, which is related to mixed land use and high density development. Of course, Bandar Seri Permaisuri is mostly is high density development. I used to live there for about 5 years, from 2000 until 2005, and then that time there is only the apartment that I live in was the only high rise. But you go there now, there's like it has increased like maybe 10, 20 times than what it was 15 years ago. But and also surprisingly, in the survey of the residents, majority of residents are happy with the mixed use, high density, and public space provided in the township. And then what they needed, of course, is the feeder bus service, which at that time was rather distant. So this is a successful example to what they call as residential TOD, which is focused more towards residential, but also have the commercial element. Next. Okay, and so this is analysis of using the GIS of some stations here, okay, by Wan Zafira here. So the results show this is looking at the TOD with the highest score, and based on the GIS, looking at the area coverage, land availability, gentrification, density, diversity, KTM Padang Jawa has the highest potential among the stations that's covered in the study. Of course, sometimes it has to be based what criteria you used to do. So for this research here, it's based on the 5 criteria that, and then found that Padang Jawa is the one that has the highest potential. Okay, of course, we have the commuter station there. Next. Okay, so this is the analysis. Have like the highest TOD intensity, second, third highest. So the second highest would be those that should be considered closely. One is Glen Mary, NRT Kuasa Damansara, okay, and then KTM Shah Alam Batu 3 Padang Jawa, and then as well as LRT 3 Pusat Bandar Shah Alam. So this is like those that have greatest potential for the to be successful, but based on the criteria that was developed before. And we have also what we call a specialized TOD, which is will be LRT station at UITM, which is where I'm based now. Okay, so look at this one. So perhaps a Kuasa Damansara because of the MRT, and it has like big green field around it, so it's easier to develop. Next. Okay, and Subang Jaya is another one which is considered successful because if you look at Subang Jaya there, then across the street you have the commercial development across the federal highway, but on this side then you have residential and commercial development. But the biggest thing for this one here is that there is a connection here with between the LRT and the KTM commuter. So with the intersection of that, okay, then it's really a good recipe for successful TOD. And as I mentioned, with the circle line, there will be more of this intersection of the various lines. So this is like Subang Jaya mixed use of commercial interchange platform, and then it's focused at a strategic point, and then feeder buses. Next. Okay, so this is research like looking at did the study also my team on the this is using Luktai, okay, because Luktai is basically land use accessibility index, land use public transport accessibility index, which is the theory states that the higher Luktai, the higher is the ridership. Okay, but of course with this one here, this is the technique need to be further refined because the technique we basically the technique developed in Australia, but when you use it in Malaysia here, because some of the land has not been developed, then even though it's zoned as commercial or residential, on plan it's as if it was developed, but they have not been developed. But what we found here, the main finding from this study here was that the mixed development are the one that have highest ridership. Okay, Subang Jaya because of mixed development as well as the interchange as well as other stations where there is a mixed development there. Next. Okay, so those are the criteria related to that. So we in the academy, we're trying to refine the techniques so that we're able to study more of the TOD system. So now it's based on the land use, but because it's based on the plan that states the land use is for commercial and residential, but it does not look at the density or whether it has been developed. So you need for the study to be much more accurate, then we need to have on the site inspection in detail. Next. Okay, so this is also a study looking at which of these have the analysis. This is one of my ex-student. Okay, from the three categories, the high, medium, and the low, looking at those stations. So many stations that she used a look tie to look at the potential. Next. So 19 is considered high potential. Okay. So that is the ridership in Kelana Jaya line. Next. Okay, next. Okay, so lastly, the challenge way forward. Okay, I think that the challenge is basically in Klang Valley, because the land had been developed before the rail line was developed. So what happened was that the stations are on existing build-up areas. So it limits the flexibility of developing TOD within the 400-meter radius. So then the development tend to be regeneration rather than the new, better-oriented TOD development. So that's why you start to see that certain areas, there's a station there, but because it's like it's already established, it's difficult really to develop the TOD. But perhaps KL Central was successful because the property belong to MRCB, so they have a control of the land, so they can do what they want plan to do. So the other stations, because there's already existing development, it's quite difficult to develop it. But the new one that can be developed, perhaps Kuasa Damansara, that is has a high potential because it's a greenfield. And then another one is really determining what is the appropriate land use diversity and density. Okay, perhaps no one size fits all. Okay, because what happened if you look at there are certain amount of residential and commercial that need to be there. Okay, if all residential, even a high density, is likely to achieve that TOD there. And then that's one related to the first one, which is the public transportation service is not concurrently developed with the land use. So the land use tend to start first, we just start to build the houses, then only then we start to build the rail, and then so the former, which is the rail, come later, which makes it not very strategic. And also this is idea that TOD is not really catching up yet with the population. We tend to be more comfortable with terrace houses in the suburb, things like that. But perhaps the younger generation now with the Grab, okay, when the Wi-Fi connectivity, so now maybe the younger generation, they feel like I don't need to own a car, there's a Grab, and then what most important to me is the Wi-Fi connectivity and 5G, then perhaps TOD can provide that for them, then it will catch up later on. And then, attractive and need to incentives, give incentive of the higher plot ratio and lower target, which is have been done by the local authority. Okay, next. Okay, so as the conclusion is, okay, so TOD is becoming increasingly relevant, and I feel that TOD is really the future, especially as I mentioned just now, the MRT 2 line to Putrajaya. So the first place until Kampung Batu is open now, okay, is tested. And then after that to Putrajaya, and then the circle line will complete the system. And then once it happens, then TOD is really the trend, as really the way to go for urban development in the Klang Valley. So with that, I like, okay, next. It should be thank you after this. Yes, thank you. With that, I'd like to thank everybody for listening, and thank you very much to the organizer for inviting me to present my paper today. So thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Thank you to Professor Town Planner Dr. Jamalul Laili Abdullah. It was a very precise and relevant presentation. I'm sure all of us in this room relate to each and every word that you have mentioned. Thank you for your sharing, Professor.
Thank
I
you.
will now like to invite our elite panels for a discussion session. The panel discussion will be moderated by Dr. Muhammad Azrin Hassan. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Mr. Aiman. My name is Muhammad Azrin Hassan. I will be your moderator for this evening and I'm very excited to welcome all our panelists today. So I will introduce one by one our panelists. So our first panel is Mr. Mark Gukon. I hope I pronounce your name right, Mark.
Yes, it's okay. Thank you.
Mark is the Passenger Director, UIC, International Union Railway. Then we have Mr. Adam Abu Hanifah, General Manager of Railway Asset Corporation. Our third panel is Mr. Hasri Harun, Head Consultant National Railway Centre of Excellence, Ministry of Transport, Malaysia. Then we have Mr. Abdullah Hadi Amran, CEO Rapid Rail Sdn Bhd as our fourth speaker. Then followed by Mr. Milko Papazov, Asian Representative, UIC International Union of Railway. And our last panel will be Dr. Arvind Hari Narayanan. He is a council member of MARI. So every panel will have a 15 minutes presentation and also a 5-minute Q&A, question and answer. During the panels delivering their presentation, the participant could ask questions in our chat room. So I will pick up all the questions after each panel, and I will ask the question after each panel have finished their presentation. Right. Again, thank you everyone for being part of our panel today. Okay, so let's go to our first panel, Mr. Mark Gukon. Mark will present on how railway face the post-COVID-19 era. For me, this is a very interesting topic due to current situation globally affected because of the pandemic. Okay, Mark, the webinar is yours.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Thank you, everybody, to be there. Thank you, the organizers, to have invited me for this panel. So I will speak concerning how the railways will face the post-COVID-19 era. This presentation you will see is focused mainly on passenger activities, knowing that freight activities will return at the level of 2019 in 2022, and in some countries and maybe in Europe could double in 2030. Next slide, please. What are the lessons which have been learned for these pandemics? As you know, the pandemics was totally unexpected and instantaneously spread worldwide, and the countries were not prepared and the railways were not prepared at that. A great investment and reactivity were shown in fighting the virus, and thank you for all the railway undertakings and infrastructure managers for that. And all the regions in the world and all activity sectors will not recover at the same pace. There is a general feeling that the illness has definitely changed the world or accelerated changes which were already ongoing. Next slide, please. Concerning the railways, next slide. Thank you. Concerning the railways, the pandemic has highlighted several topics as connectivity, that rail is a vital social good, the importance of international networks to share information and best practices, especially in the UIC COVID-19 task force, where there were around 70 UIC members in 70 countries, and 18 international organizations. The need for contingency plan in cooperation with authorities, the benefits of a customer-oriented approach and efficient information channels, and the opportunities of digitalization is what we are doing now. Next slide, please. So concerning the COVID, we have 4 periods. The first period is the all normal, which is the situation before the pandemic, when we were not aware of the danger. The crisis itself, from beginning 2020 until now, a recovery period, and in some countries today, there are some countries which are in the recovery period. We are not in Europe in the recovery period, not yet. And the new normal situation, which is in the stabilized situation after the pandemic. We will focus on this period with a white paper we are writing with a consultant. We will issue it in the summer, and I will send that to you if you would like. Next slide. We will expect that the new normal period will start about 2025. That means there will be the recovery period 2022, 2023, and the new normal will start in 2025 after the recovery period. That gives us time to think of the future. However, we need a long-term perspective due to the fact that the railway assets are designed for long-term, like infrastructure, rolling stock, railway stations, signaling, information system. 30 years, maybe 50 years, maybe more. That means the today's investment will remain until 2050. We have to keep that in mind when we will do investments now. Next slide. Which trends has been accelerated? So before the crisis, there were a lot of trends which have been dramatically accelerated during the crisis period. Nobody was predicting that home working will become a normal situation during the crisis. It will partly remain during the new normal period. We say that for some trends, acceleration was to transform 10 years, even more in 3 months. So the tomorrow's world is a today's world. We see in this slide some trends. The large usage of digitalization in the communication, e-meetings, webinars like today, which has a great impact on transport, home working, via video conferences, but also other trends concerning the transport modes, and surprisingly, the awareness of environment also with a trend which has been accelerated during the pandemic era. Next slide. What are the consequences on the transport? All these trends will affect the transportation, will affect the volumes of transport, will affect the type of usage. For example, the home working and e-meetings, and also mixed international meetings like physical and online. It is what we will do normally in UIC in the next years, will affect commuter and regional transport. Volumes and peak hours, but also the housing of the workers. In my team, I have some workers which are working out of Paris because our offices are in Paris. So I have one worker in Spain, I have one worker in the countryside, and it can have an impact on the urbanization and also in the location of offices, and also of the existence itself of the offices. For other usage of transport as tourism or personal visits, I think that the impact will be less important. Everybody wants to visit, everybody wants to have tourism. And I'm sure that after this pandemic, everybody would like to go abroad to visit France, to visit Malaysia, to visit a lot of countries. But combined with awareness of environment, I'm sure that passengers also will come to transport, which have less impact on environment. The consequence are the value of time will decrease. The passenger will more use night trains or high-speed trains with longer distances as 1,500 kilometers. And it will also accelerate the conversion to more sustainable energies. Cars, airplanes also will do the same. Next slide. There will be also economic impact on rail transport. So the modification of usage of transport will have impact on the rail industry. For the railway undertakings, maybe less incomes and less offer, waiting to a new increase of volume in the next year. The forecast of customer and regional traffic is in Europe around minus 15%. Some experts said that the natural increase of volume of transport will have recovered the pre-crisis levels in around 5 years. For the infrastructure managers, less offers means less incomes and more subsidies from local or national authorities. And also for the investments, the rail sector needs the injection of capital investment from government recovery stimulus packages. Now there was a crisis, the economy has to come back, and we need money coming from governments for investment in infrastructure and in rolling stock. Next slide. What we can recommend for all the actors of the transport chain and the railway chain. Next slide. Concerning the railway undertakings. First, the new travel behavior imposed to adapt the fare strategy. New tariffs for commuters who travel once or twice a week. New tariffs for long-distance travelers going to offices only once a week. New tariffs for students who will travel less with more e-learning. Then adapt the service concerning frequency of trains and peak hour demand. For the railway undertakings, also they will launch trains with more duration of travels. That means high-speed trains with longer distances or night trains. Have a great action for the environment in investing in new energies, and also the increase of multimodality and intermodality. And it was very interesting what said our previous speakers concerning the TOD, concerning that, with innovation and innovative ticketing also, which is very important for that. Next slide. Concerning the infrastructure managers, what is important now is to invest in new lines to face the new demand of long-distance travels. We see in Europe, we would like to have more high-speed trains and more high-speed lines across Europe. Harmonization also of track access charges on international routes are important. The infrastructure managers have also to invest in the network for new energies, for electrification, for those lines which are not electrified. There will be also a new equilibrium of financial resources involving infrastructure managers with central states or governments. Next slide. Concerning the railway stations, they have to be adapted in the new context. The home working or new housing will necessitate the creation of co-working spaces in stations. A lot of people do not want to work at home, but they would like to work near their home. Stations have to be redesigned to take into account the passenger flows, the services as ticket office, toilets, waiting rooms, new types of surfaces with disinfection. The stations have to become smart stations with more innovations and also adapted to intermodality and new urban transport modes. Next slide. But the rolling stock itself also has to be modified. As I said at the beginning, be careful for rolling stocks. It's an investment which you will keep during 30 years, maybe more. They have to be upgraded and redesigned to create more friendly working spaces for long duration travels and also office in the trains. Imagine new services on board. Imagine also new contact services which kills viruses or bacteria. Develop autonomous trains. Some countries are doing that. Develop innovation, new energies. Imagine also new air treatment to kill viruses. Imagine new application process for cleaning and disinfection. Imagine the accessibility and inclusive design. Next slide. Concerning the policymakers and civil society, the local and national authorities are in the heart of the process. Nothing can evolve if they are not proactive and if they cannot provide the right resources and regulation to the railway transport. So they need to set clear policies, targets, and fiscal instruments encouraging a shift to rail and decarbonization. Set the requirements and investment for enhancement accessibility for all. Invest in rail infrastructure and invest in innovation. Promote the cooperation for international seamless rail travel. Develop capacity and capability for long-distance trains and high-speed trains. Set up new public service obligations contracts and promote competition for the benefits of the customer. Next slide. So the future context we will face in the next 30 years, the rail sector will face new challenges which are not predictable. The current advantage of environmental friendly transport mode will step by step be reduced. Cars, ships, airplanes will dramatically decrease their impact on environment. But traffic jams with current cars will be transformed in traffic jams with electric cars. So railways have to be reinvented during this period with more innovation, reduction of cost, more customer focused, and of course, more environmental friendly. I'm very confident that the railways will succeed on this challenge. Thank you very much for your attention.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for your very insightful presentation. I can see how is COVID-19 is impacted not just the human being but also the railway transport and also economically as well. Okay, there's a question from our participant in YouTube. The question is, Mark, COVID-19 pandemic poses a unique challenge in urban transit. Ensuring people have access to transit while maintaining a 2-meter distance is difficult in non-street-based transport connection and the confined space or crowded space design challenge by this new norm. This can make public transport somewhat problematic, keeping people away from public transit and space remain limited to servicing. This means that the station space is inhabited space. So what is your opinion on that? Mark, we cannot hear you. Can you?
Oh, sorry. I switched off my microphone. Thank you very much. I said to Adrian Juliana to ask this question. What is the situation today? Today, yes, the situation normally is to have distance between people, but it is not the case. When you see the metro, when you see the trains, it is not the case. Wearing a mask can also decrease the distance between the persons, and also you can find that in some documents we have written in the UIC, and you find these documents free of charge in the website www.uic.org concerning that. But this situation is a transitory situation. I'm sure that in the future, in the new normal, there will be no more pandemic, but we have to keep in mind that there could be some other pandemics, and I'm sure that there will be some other pandemics. So we have to keep in mind to have new railway stations where you have to think about the flows of passengers. You need also to have new running stock, which face that topic. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. I hope that answering your question, Adeline Juliana. So we have another one question. It's from one Hafiz. COVID-19 have increased the private use of transport. This would be a problematic to promote public transport. So I would like to ask how to convert people to use public to reduce private vehicle ownership.
Yes. Yes, when I see your question here, yes, you are right. It is really a problem now. We have to give confidence to the passenger to come back to the public transport concerning that. So there are 2 or 3 ways to give confidence to that. The first one is to do something. That means cleaning, disinfection, to have new surfaces, air filtering, killing viruses, and so on. It is one. And the second one is communication. You have to communicate to the passengers what you are doing. You have to put some post-it. You have to put some announcements so that you are doing that for the health of your passengers. And at the end, you have to say that public transport is only 1%. It is that in Europe, it is 1% of the contamination. Most of the contaminations are in family, around 1/3. 1/3 also in the offices, for when you are working, and 1/3 in other locations like in hospitals or in other locations. And only 1% of the contamination in the public transport due to the fact that the persons are wearing masks, and there are some increase also of ventilation in the trains.
Okay, thank you, Mark, for your answer, the question from Mr. Wan Hafiz. Okay, so thank you again, Mark. We are very honored to hear from your presentation today, all the way from Paris, here in Malaysia. Okay, so
You're welcome.
We'll move on to our second panelist.
Thank you.
Our second panelist is Mr. Adam Abu Hanifah. He will touch on TOD as key catalyst in railway sustainability. Okay, Mr. Adam, the webinar is yours.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Dr. Muhammad Azrin Hassan, for the introductory. I thought of presenting fancy ideas, principles, and whatnot in TOD. But then I believe it's good to leave it to the expert, the dean from UITM. Thank you to also Prof. PPR, Dr. Jamalun Laili Abdullah, for the brief mention of RAC. Prior to my posting here in August 2020, I've never heard of RAC before. Worse, when we had a meeting last 2 weeks, when we had guests from TNB. Not even one of them have ever heard of RAC before. Hence, my presentation today, looking from RAC's experience. But rightly so, Prof. PPR Doctor has given me an idea to send my officers for a short course or seminar or something on TOD. Probably we can collaborate together with UITM. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, please. About RAC. So I'm sharing something about RAC, Railway Asset Corporation, previously known as Pembadanan Aset Kereta Api, and then we rebranded it to RAC in 2015. Now, the main responsibilities of RAC is very much incorporated under the Railway Act 1991, which is Act 463. First, to carry out and perform any functions under Railway Act as may be prescribed by the Minister, Yang Berhormat Menteri. Secondly, is to manage, administer, and maintain all assets, rights, and liabilities owned by Malayan Railway Administration, which is KTM, prior to that. And thirdly, to discharge the duties of developing, redeveloping railway infrastructure and provide excellent railway services in the country. So we are looking at monetizing the assets in Railway Asset Corporation and also to have recurring income. In fact, since 2015, we are on our own. We do not get budget or support from Ministry of Finance. We are basically on our own right now. So we generate our own income to sustain RAC. But before that, could we share, I think I will try to share the corporate video of RAC. Please, next.
What do these people have in common? They are more than just statistics. Their lives are closely linked to the national railway industry, or more specifically, the management and administration of railway assets funded by the government. With the repeal of Railway Ordinance 1948 and formulation of Railways Act 1991, Railway Assets Corporation, or RAC, rebranded their logo and corporate identity on November 19, 2015. RAC is a federal statutory body that was established to help develop the national railway industry to remain competitive. Behind the facilities that we enjoy today, there are individuals who strive to ensure that these facilities are enjoyed by everybody, with the objective of maximizing the potential of the country's railway assets. This is Kyrie. Like any young adult, he loves a good challenge, be it in life or career. Kyrie is responsible for managing the railway assets of RAC. This goes to show that RAC is not only a platform to build future careers, but more importantly, plays a pivotal role in providing good infrastructure and comfortable public transport to the end user. This is Tan and Farah. They are involved in the railway development sector for RAC, but they are responsible to make sure that any development on railway assets are transit-oriented in line with the National Transport Policy. With these development projects, residents in the area are able to enjoy vast transportation networks, and the economic benefits are felt through the increase of land value, coupled with vibrant commercial activities. This is Ayman. He's a local university student, majoring in transportation studies. Despite his busy schedule, Ayman is a food blogger and coffee is definitely on top of his list of favorites. This is Kluang Railway Station. Did you know that this station has been in operation since 1915? And within it, there's a kopitiam which has been running for over 80 years, offering great coffee and delicious local cuisine. Through this business opportunity provided by RAC, both the commercialization of local delights and the preservation of the railway station history can become a reality. This is Mr. Mohan and Mr. Guna. To them, the railway is part and parcel of their life. These two para-natives provide services for the comfort of the passengers who transit through the station. This opportunity is provided by RAC to small and medium entrepreneurs to develop their business. With the increasing competitive transportation industry, RAC plays a massive role in supporting government policies, particularly those which seek to strengthen the country's railway industry. These aspirations are aligned with RAC's responsibilities to facilitate railway infrastructure development through financial resources gained from commercial activities and government funding. RAC will continue to take proactive measures to ensure that railway asset management becomes more systematic and efficient in order to be relevant with the progression of the modern-day transportation sector and industry.
Thank you very much. I hope that didn't bore you. It's a short video. Next, these are the approaches that for development of sustainable railway corridor. Firstly, the TOD project on existing land bank, which I think has been touched by Professor TPR Doctor just now, and also cluster approach in terms of having multiple industry along the corridor to develop smaller towns. Thirdly is to monetize the commercial assets of RAC, and lastly, making affordable housing a priority. This is also was touched by Prof. just now. Next. Managing the railway land. We have substantial land bank in the whole of Semenanjung of Malaysia, or the peninsula of Malaysia, and we are looking at TOD hotspots, potential TODs, heritage station, for example, preserving national heritage and regenerating and revitalizing certain stations, for example, Seremban Central. We also have railway operation, future rail expansion, future TOD provision and also to improve the connectivity. Next, please. Apart from what I've mentioned just now, okay, the strategic approaches to develop and identifying future potential TOD for sustainable profit growth. Again, as mentioned just now by my earlier introductory, strategic partnership to jointly develop railway land. This could also be in a JV form or land swap or something like that. This I will show examples towards the end of my presentation. And regeneration and revitalization of heritage station. I think we have a unique history of colonization. Hence, certain stations which are retained and revived in terms of heritage is also a priority in RAC. We are not just looking at TOD to develop a highly sophisticated KL Central, for example, but also to look at the historical landmark. Next. This was, I think, was very much highlighted by Prof just now. The TOD, it's a centralization of everything in life, transportation, residential, commercial, you just name it. But then again, we have to look at the bigger picture. Factors driving the trend towards TOD. Firstly, rapidly growing mind-numbing traffic congestion nationwide. Again, all this was touched by Prof just now, but I just want to highlight 1 or 2 points here. The first one is we have this as a contradicting factory, policy, contradicting policy. We have a policy that encourages traffic or vehicle ownership, but at the same time, we have to balance up the environmental, the congestion and whatnot. The next one is that I want to highlight is the growing desire for more walkable lifestyle away from traffic. It's true. If you look at the trends nowadays, we see a lot of cyclists. People tend to do a lot of cycling. So I think the awareness of health and also green space is very much an important element in today's life. Next, please. Railway Asset Corporation is covering Peninsula of Malaysia. You see on the blue line is from Padang Besar, the northern, right down to south, which is Johor Bahru. The points that we have, JB, Seremban, Kuala Lumpur, Selangor, Ipoh and Penang are all the ones that which are currently in play, in focus, the TODs and whatnot. Whereas the red line, it could be the future of the East Coast line, could be the future of TOD. But then again, depending on many factors. Next, I would like to share some of the completed projects by REC. Probably this could also be discussed if there's any question. And the first one is the integrated and with the existing railway transportation and the new city development, which is at KL Eco City. It's a land swap agreement signed in 2013 and was completed in 2018. Of course, there are a few issues here, security issues, safety issues, but then again, this was all sorted out with KTMB and whatnot. This, if everybody, if most of you would know, it's next to Mid Valley. Next, please. Okay, this is Penang Central, which was highlighted just now again by Prof. This is also quite a successful story, but then again, there's a lot of issues on land and few other matters, but I think that was sorted out with MRCB. Work in progress. Next. This is a new KTM station in Kajang 2. Agreement signed, if I'm not mistaken, is in 2018, if I'm not mistaken. So it's expected to be completed. It's actually completed, but there's 1 or 2 issues pending right now, land matters, I guess. So it's, I think it should be okay by towards March or April, April or May, something like that. Thank you. Next. Brickfield. This is also another development by YTL. YTL constructed or developed this, what we call RAC Central. This is the building for RAC Central, which I think I'm here to promote this RAC Central in the event that KSU wanted, Secretary General of Ministry of Transport wanted to have a nesting concept, meaning to say all companies that is related to railway, whether it's infrastructure or system, would be centralized at this RAC Central. This is expected to be completed towards the end of next year. Anybody wanting to have a space, probably can come and contact me. Thank you. The next is promo lah sikit. The next is a new high-rise development integrated with existing railway transportation in Pudu. This is what we say a mixed development, but mostly it's a residential. It's an outright sale to the company, and it is expected to be launched May this year. It is smack, right in Pudu area. Next one is Majestic Hotel Ipoh. This is also a project with RAC, a company that is developing and also revitalizing the heritage hotel. Once favorite among royalties, I think many years ago. On the if you have, I don't have the pointer. If it's here, that's where the proposed revitalizing of the hotel here, and then the next plot here, that will be the what we say, the new hotel Majestic, which will be constructed by.
Sorry, Mr. Adam, I need to interrupt you. Can you wrap it up a little bit, because we are running out of time.
Okay, sure. Finally, negotiation stage, we have Bangsa to redevelop the whole the whole Ktm Station, Ktm quarters. Next, we have Batu Tiga for land swap. This one is to explore opportunity for landlocked land. This is also a TOD concept. Next, we have Segambut Dalam. This is also a requirement from the local council to have a station to accommodate the huge development there. The next one is what's in the pipeline. I can tell you there's a lot, but I just share one major one, which is the Kempas Johor. This one is as a result of upgrading of the railway track, station, and loco shed. This is how RAC managed to maximize the land potential as shown on the screen, with the expected GDP between 28.6 billion to 30 billion. And the next one, last one, is the Seremban Central. This is again the revitalization of the heritage station and a new TOD development. Lastly, thank you very much for the invitation and also for your kind attention. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Mr. Adam. Very interesting. There's a lot of questions for you, but I will repeat one question. The rest of the question, I think we will answer it by email.
We will try.
I will ask one question. How from Amira Alia, how are we going to plan and manage the TOD station since our current development is already compacted and existed around the station ring?
Yeah, it's a very good question. You see, in RAC, we receive many offers and many proposals from a developer. From the perspective of developer, it's all about probably making money and also utilizing whatever infrastructure is available. But again, when it comes to planning, there's no planning. There's no such thing as planning. I believe, from my perspective, there should be an integrated kind of discussion among all the relevant parties, all the stakeholders, including the institution, the educational institution and whatnot. Not only from the expert, from the rail expert, but also from other areas. If we look at from one angle, probably it will be too congested. But then again, back to the basic planning. So I have to mention thank you very much and Assalamualaikum to my former lecturer, Cik Ihsan, Tuan Haji Ihsan. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Adam. I think we move on to our next panelist. Okay, our next panelist is Mr. Hasri Harun. He will represent the rail towards year 2030. Okay, Mr. Hasri, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Azrin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Yang berbahagia, Datuk Dr. Muhammad Yusof Salaman, Presiden MARIC.
Waalaikumsalam.
Profesor Dr. Jamalullah Abdullah, Dean Faculty Architect and Planning and Surveying, and panelists and all members who are listening to this briefing. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. So, my name is Hasri, the Head Consultant for National Rail Centre of Excellence. I will brief a bit on the National Rail Centre of Excellence roles and responsibilities. Can go to the next slide, please. Okay. NRCOE has been established under purview of Ministry of Transport to spearhead the development in rail industry, including education and training within railway sector by continuous engagement with academic, training provider and certification bodies, both local and abroad. Currently, NRCOE is a unit under Land Transport Division, Ministry of Transport, to steer the development of railway industry in Malaysia. The entire development will be based on sustainability principle. On the first NRCOE steering committee was kicked off on 30th June 2020, and it has been chaired by our Secretary General, MOT, Datuk Isham Isa, attended with 9 ministries, government agencies, and industry players as well, including MARIC. So with the vision, by 2030, Malaysia rail industry will be a strong and sustainable railway capable of satisfying the demand of the national rail transportation and a competitive global players that optimize the use of indigenous resources and technologies. Based on the huge business opportunities, the government is supporting the industry's aspiration to advance to the next level. Next slide, please. Back. Can you back? Yeah, this one. Okay. Okay. The National Transport Policy 2019-2030 was launched on 17 October 2019 with the vision to develop a sustainable transport sector that accelerate economic growth and support the well-being of the rakyat in line with an advanced nation status. NRCOE mandate is from the NTP 2019-2030 under Trust Number 1 Initiative GT 2.1A. If you can see on the slide there, where the Trust Number 1 to strengthen the governance to create a conducive environment for the transport sector. So based on the 5 trust policy, this is one of the trusts that NRCOE will be established. Okay, next slide, please. Or before that, the initiative of NRCOE was mooted by TDA Berhad through Industry Collaboration Program, or last time they call it ICP program, in 2016, leveraging from government procurement for all railway projects. And it was endorsed by the Malaysian ICP Executive Committee in 2017. So I will explain the objective of NRSUE. So basically, NRSUE objective, we have 4. The first objective is on human capital, where we want to have a centralized railway training ecosystem, training module and development, system development, and then engagement with industry players on human capital requirement. Last 2 weeks, on 25th March 2021, Ministry of Transport Malaysia and UK had witnessed the Memorandum of Collaboration between KTMB and National Skill Academy for Rail, United Kingdom. So this collaboration to enable the rail sector to deliver a modern and efficient world-class railway through the development of a high-skilled and productive workforce. So on the goal, we want to have for human capital, we will have a centralized training center and the industry lead body for rail sector. And later on, we will transform to the higher education or institution. Okay, on the objective number 2, which is the Rail Industry Development Program. So for this Rail Industry Development Program, we are talking about the localization, the supplier development program, sustainable railway, collaboration with OEM and international suppliers, financial assistance and incentive from government, enhancement of local industry players to international rail industry, and penetration to the global market as well. And our goal for the Rail Industry Development Program is to develop the local supplier capability in order to manage our MRO system components activities in Malaysia and also to ASEAN market as well. So on the objective number 3, which is testing and certification. So for this one, the objective is, our goal is to develop the Malaysian rail standard and enhance our testing facility for industry requirement. This is in line to increase our localization of rail product in Malaysia. So for this, we are benchmarking with the international rail standard, and we collaborate with international standard body such as CARS from China and UIC also from Europe. Yeah, this initiative to increase our local content and capitalizing our local supplier to manufacture it. Later, Malaysia Rail Standard will be extended to ASEAN rail industry player as well. So on the last objective number 4, on research and technology. So on this area, so we identify research gap between industry and university and apply back to industry. So what we want is whatever research that being done by university and industry, it should be commercialized, and we want industry use for our operation. Yeah. And we are talking about the redesign and refurbishment program. Yeah. Digitalization in the rail system, such as MRO, AFC, and also ticketing system. Yeah. Our goal in the future, we would able to conduct local refurbishment program on the old asset, capitalizing local industry players and products. Next slide, please. So based on the 4 core objectives of NRCOE, we developed a milestone in 4 phases until 2030, where we target to achieve for human capital, we are targeting 28,000 qualified TVET and 2,800 professional based on the demand and requirement from industries and projects in Malaysia. And on Rail Industry Development Program, we are targeting to qualify 70 suppliers, yeah, to support the local rail projects. And part of it, we would like to nurture them to penetrate the ASEAN and global market. So on the Malaysia Rail Standard, we are targeting 40 parts to be developed, the Malaysia Rail Standard, and 8 products target to be commercialized locally on R&T. Yeah. Okay, next slide, please. So this is the current Malaysian railway status, where what I want to mention here is we have been in the rail operation since 1885. Yeah? At that time, we started with KTNB. Yeah? The first track is from Taiping to Port Vale. So at that time, we are just a user. We use most of the asset from OEM side, and some of the maintenance and repair being done by OEM or foreign suppliers. But in late 1990s, we have developed the LRT projects, electric double track KL to northern and southern of Malaysia, and later with commuter monorail, ETS, LRT, and MRT. So in this year onwards, we are developing our local industry players to support the rail projects in Malaysia. And we are developing a local anchor company also who will manage the MRO activity on rolling stock. Yeah, there will be policy enhancement as well. And then we will develop more local industry player on the localization program. And also we are enhancing our local SMEs to the next level in order for them to meet the international rail industry standard and requirement. So by 2030, we should be able to manage our assets locally and digitalize the rail system in order to produce an efficient services to rakyat. Next slide, please. So this is the Sustainable Railway Milestone, which is part of the Sustainable Development Goal, covers all economic, social, and environment pillars. So we have drafted the Sustainable Railway Milestone in 4 phases. And Malaysia will cooperate with UIC and all rail stakeholders to support the decarbonization of rail system in Malaysia in order to achieve net carbon zero nation 2050. Yeah, we will start the engagement with local rail industry players, including operators, in June 2020, where we will conduct an awareness program and also the sustainable railway training program, such as green compliant, carbon footprint measurement, sustainable procurement, sustainable reporting, using global reporting initiative, Generation 4, and also the energy management. So we will cover the railway ecosystem, including rail operators, industry players, city council, institution, and higher education. Okay, next slide, please. So this is the expected outcome that we have formalized through NRCE. We are targeting, to increase the localization minimum 45% and develop and enhance 70 qualified suppliers by 2030. And with that, they will support the local rail operation and MRO, in our country. And not only that, we are targeting to nurture our local supplier to penetrate our regional market, especially in ASEAN, where there is a huge projects in ASEAN as well. Okay.
Mr. Speaker, you
So for human capital,
because we have less than another 1 minute.
yeah. Okay. Okay. On workforce, we are targeting 28,000 by 2030, and this include on upskilling and reskilling. Next slide, please. So this is basically the potential market in Malaysia, where in Malaysia we have a project value about 48 billion USD until 2030, which includes ECRL, LRT3, MRT3, ETS3, RTS, HSR, Penang LRT, Sarawak Metro, and etc. So there is a huge market in Malaysia as well. And also in ASEAN, if you can see, the project until 2035 is about 93 billion USD. And the biggest project in ASEAN is One Belt One Road initiative, which is 480 billion USD until 2050. Next slide, please. So moving forward, what we have planned for our industry and from Ministry of Transport, we will enhance the current Malaysian Railway Supporting Industry Roadmap 2030 by MIC, which has been developed, I think, since 2014. And we will transform them to the National Railway Blueprint, which is one of the important area that we need to update. And then the other thing is we will have a procurement policy enhancement workshop in June this year. And we will have the rail industry development program launching on 19 April 2021. This will be launched by Ministry of Transport and also Ministry of Development Entrepreneur Corporate. So this is basically the initiative that NRC have done to develop and enhance local industry capability in order to participate in local and ASEAN market. Okay. And the other thing is on the Malaysian Railway Standard Development Workshop. We will have a workshop in May this year. And finally, the Sustainable Railway Framework Development Workshop, which will be done in June 2021. So I'll conclude my presentation that the investment made by the government will ensure Malaysia receive the full economic benefit in rail and infrastructure development. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam. Thank you, Mr. Hasri. There's many questions, but I will pick up one question. One question from the participant. They ask whether how to join your RDP program. Any website regarding that?
Okay. To join our RIDP program, you can come to MOT at level 6 and register with NRCOE. Yeah, we will look the detail what is your interest for you to participate in this program.
Thank you very much, Mr. Asri. Okay, so
welcome.
We go to our next topic is urban rail planning in Malaysia. So this is from Mr. Abdul Adi Amran. Right, so the presentation is yours, Mr. Adi.
Thank you, Dr. Azrin. Yang bahagia Datuk Muhammad Yusof of Marik and Professor Dr. Jamalulail of UITM. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello, panelists and ladies and gentlemen. First slide, please. Okay. As we are aware, rail network started actually for interurban travelling. However, during the period, the advent of motorcar took over the importance of the rail. Okay. In due course, when motorcar has problem in terms of saturation to travel, the rail has become important again. Okay. So a very comprehensive transport planning needs to be done. Okay, for rail. Many factors are included inclusive of facilities. Okay, disabled friendly facilities, intelligent transport system, ticketing system, TOD, and bus support at the same time. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is how the urban rail started in Kuala Lumpur or Klang Valley to be exact. Okay. In 1995, we started with KTM commuter. Okay. And then followed by the opening of the LRT Laluan Ampang, commonly known as Star LRT. Okay. The first phase in 1996 and then the second phase in 1998, just before the Commonwealth Games. Yeah? And then EIL come into the picture in 2002, okay, with two lines also. Okay, you can see that the line 6 and line 7. And then KL Monorail in 31st August 2003. Okay, after that, followed by the MRT Sungai Buloh Kajang, now known as Laluan Kajang, in 2017. KL Central Sky Park by KTM in 2018. In future coming soon, LRT line 3, or we call it Shah Alam line, okay, in 2024. And then we will have Putrajaya line in operation in July 2021. Okay. Along the way, we also have BRT, a specific bus transit system that support our rail, what we call alignments, basically. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay. This is basically what the government plan is. Okay. Our rail transport system, what we call master plan, depends very much on the government effort, basically. Okay. In 2030, we anticipate that Klang Valley will have a population of 10 million from the current one about 7.9 million. Okay, the ridership so far is about 10% of the population. This is between but in the long run, the national transport policy says that by 2030 we need to have a model share for public transport by 40%, yeah? Which we are far away. Okay, at the moment we are just about 10% of it. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, this is to touch a bit on our performance, our sustainability for rapid rail, basically. This is our actual figures, yeah. Okay, from 2015. Except by 2016, when we start introducing a new fare structure, there was some negative impact on it. For the rest of the years, from 2017 to 2019, we will have a very good growth. Okay, In fact, in 2019, we have a positive EBITDA for Rapid Rail, basically. Okay. However, in 2020, when COVID-19 comes in, it impacted us very badly. Okay, and our revenue was down up to 47% only. Okay, then it continues until 2021. Okay, before COVID, we carried the highest record is 891,000 passengers a day. Yeah, that's very high. And then total today we carry about 3 billion passengers. Yeah. Next, please. Okay, this is the detail by lines that we have at the moment. Okay. If you look at the daily ridership, okay, we have now 389,000 weekday ridership compared to 2019, that is 766,000 passengers, reduction of about 49.2%. Okay. The impact started last year in March when COVID was first, when we had first MCO in March. Okay. And April, our ridership goes down even to 5% only of our total 7 before that. Okay. That really impacted us throughout the year. Okay, we have some improvement in September. However, towards the end of the year, we have CMCO coming in and also MCO 2.0 coming in. Yeah, this basically impacted our profitability and our bottom line basically. Yeah. We have a lot of initiatives to cover for this thing. Yeah. Among others, the government initiative under Penjana, the My30, did help us a bit in terms of revenue. Okay. However, overall, we still are at the losing end, basically. Yeah. Next, please. From here, we can see the impact of COVID-19. Okay. You see the lowest point was during the April, time, April 2020. We only have 6% of our ridership before COVID. After that, it start increasing. Okay, during RMCO, we have better ridership, 61% of our pre-COVID ridership, but we were hit again by the CMCO in October, November, and December. Okay. Through our discussion with our fellow operators in Europe, okay, we foresee that we will not even get our ridership before COVID until 2023. Okay, even with the vaccination. Okay, surveys have shown that we are going to lose 8 to 15% of our customers before COVID due to the new normal, basically. Yeah. So we have to do something to gain back the customer trust to use the public transport. We believe metros are important for us to sustain our economy, to grow the economies at the same time, and provide stimulus on green technology, basically. Okay, next, please. Okay, this is our benchmarking, where we benchmark our operations against all the other operators around the world. Okay, Nova Comet is an association where you are invited into the group, even though you apply. But if they feel you are not up to the standard yet, they will not accept you into the group. Okay, every year we will share our performance. On the right side of the slide, you see the performance where we can put our attention. All right, at our key points, especially in terms of where we have to improve. Okay, in this case, for KL, one of the most thing to be improved is ease of wayfinding. So we have to improve on that. Okay, in terms of space, comfort, we are quite good already. The ranking is there. Yeah, you can see, right? So this is important on yearly basis, where we share our experience among each others to do our to share and to ensure that our planning are towards sustainability of operation, basically. Yeah. Next, please. Okay. When you talk about sustainability or services, it's not just about us, it's about for the first and the last mile. Okay. Mostly will be provided by the buses for the first and the last mile, but we can also have other what we call modes of transport to support the buses. Basically, those who prefer door-to-door or what we call services, like the e-hailing services. So we are working with them, yeah, to provide this additional what we call last mile, first and last mile connectivity. Yeah. So these are very important. Okay, they fill the gaps that the bus cannot do, and the backbone will still be the rail system. Yeah. Next, please. Okay. Sustainability of the rail also involve TOD. Okay. In Prasarana, we have what we call quite a big parcel of land that can be developed as TOD. One of the good example is the one in Dangwangi, okay, where we have a multi-story apartments on top of the station itself, okay, and Ara Damansara currently under construction just beside the stations. Okay, coming soon we'll have in IOI Puchong, in Glamoury, and Awan Besar, and Kelana Jaya LRT station. Okay, so in Brickfields we have another one just beside the depot of the monorail, and it is integrated with the stations. Yeah. Next, please. Okay, moving forward. Okay, the plan is by July this year we will have the first phase of the MRT line 2 online. Yeah, they call it Putrajaya line. 37 station, 39 station, 57.7 kilometers, and 49 4-car trains. Okay, coming in 2024, we will have LRT3, or we call it Shah Alam line, from Bandar Utama to Klang. Okay, that will be 37 kilometers, 20 stations, and 22 sets of 3-car trains. Yeah. Next, please. Okay. Sustainability also is about service improvement. Okay, so we are actually improving our system by having additional number of trains. Okay, the first one is for Kelana Jaya line. We have 27 sets of new 4-car trains to replace the existing 2-car train that is already due for replacement. Okay, and then monorail, we are getting 7 sets of 4-car trains also to be delivered by this year, from March to December. Okay, and then also we are also going into alternative payment system. We call it open platform system, where it's seamlessly integrated, and then you can use whatever card that you have in your wallet to pay for the fares. Okay, it could be your ATM card, your debit card, MasterCard, whatever it is. Yeah? So this will give a better experience to the passenger. Next. Okay, in the pipeline, we have the RTS that is scheduled for service in 2026. We have MRT line 3 that was just approved, yeah, to be continued. That is another good sign, because MRT 3 is the most important link for all the lines, basically. Yeah, so we hope they can do it fast. They are doing it in 3 months, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so it's a good one. Then we will have Putrajaya, either a monorail or tram. They haven't decided on the thing yet. And then there are other state, what we call system under planning. Penang LRT, Kota Kinabalu LRT, and Kuching ART, basically. Yeah. Next, please. Okay, that's it for me. Just a quote. if you are on the right track, you will get run over if you don't just sit there. Yeah, you will still have to change. The change is a constant. We will need to move forward. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hadi. A very good presentation. There is one question for you.
Yep.
So the question is, does the country need the MRT3? I think you already answered, but you can elaborate further on that.
Pardon? Again?
Does the country need the MRT3 project?
Okay.
You already answered that, but I think you can elaborate further a little bit on that.
Okay. MRT line 3 will have about 41 kilometers of line. Okay. Initially, it was designed to be underground. Okay, that's the information that I have. Okay, but it will be connecting all the lines, meaning the commuter, KTM commuter, the Ampang line, the even Kelana Jaya line. Yeah, so this will make it a good loop for everybody. Even if one line has any problem, they can switch to other line to make sure they can reach their destination. Yeah, so it's an important link to the Klang Valley urban railway system. I would say that.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Hadi, for your answering the question.
Thank you.
Let's go to our next panel.
Thank you very much.
Our next panel is Mr. Milko Papazov. He will present the role of UIC in railway standardization in ASEAN. Mr. Milko, the webinar is yours. Sorry, Milko, you need to unmute your mic.
It's better like that, I believe. Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Azrin. And again, a very warm good afternoon and selamat petang to all the attendants of this auspicious event. Thank you also to all the teams of MITE, MARIC, and UITM for inviting UIC again. And also we are very pleased to work closely with Malaysia. So I will try to keep on my 15 minutes location. Under UIC, the International Union of Railways, I will speak about standardization. It's very important, let's say, in the development of railway to have the proper standards. And I believe that my previous speakers and also, for example, Anchi Asri of NRCOE mentioned very well the building up of the Malaysian railway standards, which is, of course, a very important step towards the development of the railway industry in general in Malaysia. So just to recall it, UIC, the International Union of Railways, is the United Nations recognized body for standards, standardization, and harmonization of standards worldwide. It was created in 1922, so next year we'll celebrate our centenary, by already at that time 51 members from Europe and Asia. And today we have about 250 members, which are either operators, railway operators, or government agencies related to railways, or universities and technical centers related to railways. Next slide, please. Not forgetting that we have, thank you. Not forgetting that we have 51 members in Asia Pacific and soon 12 members in ASEAN. NRCOE is hopefully joining us very soon. So 4 from Malaysia. So rapidly about the standards. Next slide. Why standardize? It's very important. It's simple at the same time and complex. Of course, with a standard, we will have consistency, simplicity, and efficiency. That means that we will have essential component of competitiveness. It will be there to condition the market and also to look at the cost optimization of the total life cycle of any equipment, any parts in the railways. So this is why we need really to have these standards. Next. At the same time, it's also complicated and complex because you have institutional standardization, an ecosystem already in place, different origins from countries, from organizations, associations, and UIC is there to defend the railway industry to make sure that we have the most viable and, let's say, correct standards applicable in each country. So you see, we deal with a lot of different associations. Some are very well known, like ISO, of course. And this is also, there is a European regulation from the beginning, but now UIC is really a world body. It's very important. You will see why later on. And of course, we are dealing with sectorial, private industrial standards as well. So it's very complex. Next. So maybe you can click until we see the whole slide. So UIC is an SSO, that means a standard setting organization. That means that from there, it's really assisting to develop, coordinate, and to make sure that we go to the top of the art in terms of technology, also the neutral way, and for the benefit of the railways in general. So for this, again, it plays an important role in design, construction, operation, and maintenance at all levels, from the very early beginning to the very end of a process for railways. Should it be a product or should it be an operation? So, and again, since 1928, the task of UIC was creating these famous leaflets that everyone knows, about 750 of them today, which now we replace by the IRS, the International Railway Solutions, which is really a structure framework of standardized documents blending together voluntary solutions prepared and published by the UIC for the use within the railway sector everywhere in the world. This is very important. Next. So for this was created just in late 2017, a standardization unit also at UIC to see how we could have a real standard adapted to each condition of each country. And this standardization unit was really becoming a one-stop shop in order to guarantee the processes and the quality, but also looking at the transposition of the residual leaflets, the former leaflets, which sometimes were not really that flexible, into the new IRS, and support the development, the publication, and the maintenance of this new and existing IRS, which are, of course, always evolving in time. Next. So, from the former UIC leaflet and to go from the International Railway Solution, the IRS, complete teams with all the members, the 250 members across the world, were working together under working groups and different committees. And in order to go for this new, let's say, IRS, of course, it's a long-term process. Today, we are about, I think, half completed, even a bit more, 60% completed, and we hope to do it completely in about 2 to 3 years. Next. And just keep in mind, I give you a very simple image. The IRS, it's like a tree. You have a trunk, which will be the essence of the standard itself, and then you have the branches. And one branch could be the Malaysian branch. Another branch will be the French branch, or the Japanese branch, or the Chinese branch, the Indonesian branch, everywhere in the world. Meaning that the willingness with this IRS is to have an international standard adapted to the condition of each country where there is railway operations and development. So for multiple users, of course, it's very important for the, let's say, the project managers and the members working on this new IRS and all the external partners who are contributing. That means especially the industries through the working group, because they cannot be members of UIC, but through the working group, of course, they bring their technology, they bring their point of view, and then we decide on these international standards. So it's, I will not go for all the slides, but you see it's a very important effort, a tool where all the community, all the family of railways work together. So from, let's say, the project managers and the working groups to make sure that we will have the best possible IRS now. And it's from active to dynamic to transparent to collaborative, because UIC is a UN recognized body, so remaining neutral and respecting each country context. Next, please. So, improve standardization database de facto, of course. So this, of course, workplace with all the new 750 and more to come with the digitalization that we are living in today, and also under the current situation. So this workspace will enable, through a specific database, a very detailed oversight of the principal work at each stage of migrating the leaflet to the IRS, and also the experts working on it being in the drafting groups to share draft documents with each other. And I encourage you to look at some video that are here on this slide when the slides will be distributed. Next. So when we took now on the ASEAN region, where Malaysia is at the heart. Next. Of course, when we look at the continental ASEAN point of view, we talk also about interoperability. Malaysia has borders, at least on the, let's say, continent side, with Singapore and with Thailand. So it's a very good necessity to have this interoperability with the neighbors and within the ASEAN region. And the technical specification for interoperability, of which we talk a lot nowadays, are, of course, on a European regulatory documents at the origin that stipulate what, at the same time, while the UAC norms and the reference sheets express the how. So this is also the development that we foresee, and the Asia-Pacific region, which is the second important region after Europe in terms of number of members at UIC, will play a very, very important role. So it's complementary, of course, of the TSI, and at the same time, this reference sheet and norms used in the TSI become a compulsory application where they originally are a voluntary application model of documents. In ASEAN, and especially working with our current and future members, we, of course, are very open and very keen, and this is what we are doing, and Chiastri was mentioning it. We partner with your side in order to support your effort to develop this Malaysian railway standards to be on par with this international standards, these international railway solutions. And we thank again all our members also to be active on this, from Indonesia, from the Philippines, from Thailand and Vietnam for the time being. So obviously the post-COVID-19 era, what mentioned my dear colleague Mark earlier, will have, of course, also a new impact on the development of some of these standards, obviously. And so beside, let's say, our members or future members that we have here, mentioned by their logos, and also our partners, regional partners, such as UNESCAP in Bangkok and ADB in Manila, the ASEAN Secretariat, of course, for the whole of ASEAN, and especially through the special working group on the Singapore to Kunming Rail Link, which is going to become a reality sooner than we even think about it. So, and also other major bodies in the northern part of Asia, like AAIB in Beijing and UNCRD in Nagoya. So the idea is to work all closely together to support the new projects and the financing of the projects that will develop the railways in Malaysia and in the ASEAN region. and in Asia Pacific, of course. Next. So just to recall the UIC members, as I mentioned, 11, very soon 12, with our 4th Malaysian member. So 4 from Malaysia, 3 from Indonesia, 1 from Vietnam, 2 from the Philippines, and 2 from Thailand. And we hope that the other countries in ASEAN with a railway network, namely Singapore, Laos, Myanmar, and Cambodia, will also have at least 1 member joining soon UIC. Next. And with this, I complete my presentation. I hope that I was on time. So do not hesitate to contact us. Also with our, let's say, headquarters, the Chief Standardization Officer who gave, let's say, a presentations just 2 months ago to our ASEAN members, will be pleased with all our team to also liaise with you. And the non-members also present here to attend. You can participate to this, let's say, different working groups and, let's say, electronic platforms. There is more than 120 of them covering the complete spectrum of railways. So you are most welcome to join and to ask a question on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Milko. I have one question for you. How does the university researcher in Malaysia want to work with UIC?
Sorry, come again. Unfortunately, the sound was not very clear.
Sorry about that. This is a question for you. How does a university researcher in Malaysia want to work together with UIC?
You see how Malaysia can work with UIC, right?
University researcher in Malaysia.
University?
Yeah.
Yes. Alors, again, as I said, also can be members of UIC beside the operators, all universities with, let's say, a railway curriculum, as well as technical centers or let's say, railway academies. And it's very simple. Of course, you have different categories of members. Active members and associate members are usually operators of different size. And if we talk about non-operators like universities, they will be an affiliate member. There is a fee. There is a membership fee, which is for some time not that maybe easy to take. It's about 10,000 euros per year. But in some cases, and especially for the universities, this can be reduced to, let's say, a minimum of 4,000 euros. So you have to know that. If you cannot afford as a university, you can always participate through the working groups and be again with your specialists, your experts, share with all the experts around the world on very specific topics of the railways.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Milko, for follow. I think that's a very interesting presentation. So I think we move on to our sixth and final.
Thank you. Terima kasih banyak.
Terima kasih, Mr. Milko. Dr. Alvin Hari Narayanan, he will represent a MARIC role in Malaysian railway development. Mr. Dr. Alvin, the floor is yours.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Azrin. Can you hear me? Is the mic clear? Okay, yeah. So very good afternoon to all of our distinguished speakers, my fellow panelists today, and of course the viewers and attendees of the symposium watching wherever you are. So my name is Arvin. I am a council member of the Malaysian Rail Industry Corporation. And I'm here to give a presentation on MARIC's role in the Malaysian railway development. I understand that it's quite late in the afternoon, and I'm one of the last panelist speakers, so I'll do my best to keep it short and hopefully interesting as well for all of you today. Next slide. So this is the contents of my presentation today. I've broken it up into 3 parts. So firstly, I'll start off by introducing MARIC as to who we are and what we do. And the second part, we'll be talking about MARIC and urban rail, keeping to the theme of today's symposium where we're talking about TODs and urban transit So, how can MARIC make TODs and rail transit successful? And the last part of my presentation is the general way forward for MARIC and how we can move on developing the Malaysian rail industry. So next slide. So I'll start off first by introducing MARIC and what we are about. Next slide. So we were launched in November 2016, so we're just over 4 years old now. And so we are primarily an industry-led platform to promote the coordination and integration among Malaysian rail players. When we talk about rail players here, our MARIC is more focused on railway systems. So it's with this industry-led platform, we hope to be to support and represent the voice of the Malaysian rail industry players. So these are our committee members of MARIC as of today. There are 14 of us. We are led by Dato' Muhammad Yusof as our president of MARIC. And we also have Encik Hanif Ghazali, who is our honorary secretary. So together with the 12 committee members, committee members comprise of, some of us are business owners, some of us are from top managements of our respective companies. So we're able to bring together a lot of years of experience and industry knowledge. And this is particularly helpful when we do a lot of industry engagement with ministries and government agencies. We're able to highlight the issues of our industry and also look on a way forward for all of us. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, so on this slide, it's an infographic that I think best explains MARIC and what we are about. So for MARIC, we have 43 members as of today. And in this infographic here, all of us are involved in the railway systems industries. We have our specific expertise and core competencies. So we have categorized them here into 7 clusters based on their core competencies. So we have some companies who are specializing in communications. We have some in signaling, power and electrification, rolling stock, track works, AFC, automated fare collection, and we also have some consultant companies who are members as well. And just how this infographic can show you is that there is potential for good collaboration between all of our members, and we can really offer, as what the title says, an end-to-end system capabilities for any railway projects, present and future. So next slide. So in this slide, we first show on the right hand side is a breakup of a typical breakup of a rail construction work scope. So understandably, bulk of the work scope is taken up by the civil and infrastructure works. This involves building of the stations, bridges, viaducts, tunnels. These are viaducts and tunnels are very common for urban rail systems as well, and of course utilities. So these take up more than half of a typical capex of a rail project. So the next 45%, we have 15% taken up typically for rolling stock, and then 25% for the balance system engineering for track works, communication, signaling, and other E&M electromechanical systems as well. And the balance 5% taken up for MRO, maintenance, repair, and overhaul of the system assets. So our MARIC members are primarily focused on this 45% of a typical rail construction work. So on the right, we have a chart which shows the local rail competencies by percentage in rail systems EPCC. So this is, putting it simply, this is a rough measurement of the amount of local content that from our MARIC members and also from the other industry players can bring for railway systems. So as of today, we can easily achieve about 35% for all of the work scopes for rolling stock and signaling. We can go further with power and electrification, track works and consultancy. Our consultants can achieve about 75% local content. Communications at 85%, and fare collection almost 100%. So and that's so these numbers really look promising, I was looking at Inche Hasri's slide as well on the requirement for their local content, and I can tell that we are certainly on track, and we can work together on achieving those targets. Next slide. So now I move to the second part of my presentation, and this is what MARIC can do in urban transit. Next slide. So we'll start off with the rail network capacity. This is usually the first bit of requirement that is handed over to the industry players. Because and what happens is that when you put all the systems together, it has to meet the defined rail network capacity. So these are usually defined in two ways. Firstly is the gross tonnage per annum, typically in millions, so million gross tonnage per annum, MGTPA, or more popularly for people moving transit is passenger per hour per direction, or PPHPD. So as of now, this network capacity and also other system requirements, they will come from your ridership studies. Then you'll also have inputs from government ministries and stakeholders as well. And then you have, of course, the operation and maintenance requirements. And of course, this eventually gets handed over to the contractors and industry players to build. What we can do is that we can encourage some form of early engagement with the industry, with the planners and government ministries when a new rail project comes up, and this is to help identify suitable systems for that particular project. This is not just applicable for rail transit lines, but also importantly for redevelopment and upgrading of existing infrastructure. The next slide. So moving on, I'll talk about the passenger convenience. So this is more the fare collection and people moving in and out of the stations. So when we're talking about seamless movement, we need to have entry and exit barriers which are reliable and robust to handle the peak passenger traffic. So if I refer to the pictures on the right-hand side, on the top right is an example of an entry and exit barrier from a product from one of our MARIC members. So moving on from the exit barriers, then comes the actual fare collection. So I'm happy to say that we're, especially for urban rail on our LRT and MRTs, we have moved away from a ticket-based fare collection. We've become more ticketless. So we use smart cards and tokens, which are currently being used. But we can certainly move on to implement more contactless systems with e-wallet systems in future. Inche Abdul Hadi Amran mentioned about the ICPS project as well. So some of our MARIC members, industry players, would certainly be interested to contribute and develop that system. So the picture on my right, actually, just right of that is, if you can see Link Aja there, that's actually a turnstile system from the Jakarta commuter line. So they're already using an e-wallet based system for their fare collection. So certainly we can do that here as well. So apart from the fare collection, the infrastructure can become smarter as well. We're implementing, building more efficient building management systems to further enhance passenger comfort and experience. So, we're living in an era of Industrial Revolution 4.0, and as well as the post-COVID-19. So there's certainly more to come in this space. Next slide. So we talked about passenger convenience. Now I move on to another important subject, which is safety. It's good to see that for new projects, new urban rail projects here in Malaysia, we've already started implementing platform safety systems. For example, like the MRT Kajang line, the upcoming Putrajaya line, the new LRT lines as well. We will have some form of platform safety systems. So there are three types of systems being used at the moment. Firstly is the automatic platform gates. That's the picture on the top right-hand corner. And this is currently installed for the upcoming MRT Putrajaya line by one of our MARIC members as well. You also have platform screen doors. These are similar to the platform gates, except they go all the way up to the ceiling of the stations, commonly used for underground stations. The third is a unique product called the Platform Intrusion Emergency Stop, or PIES, P-I-E-S, and that's the picture on the bottom right corner. So these are actually sensor pads which are installed on the rail tracks adjacent to the platform, which detects any fallen objects or people, and it notifies the signaling system to stop the train as soon as possible. So apart from safety, we also have the security. The conventional way of monitoring passenger security is by using CCTVs. These are installed now on board the trains and as well in the stations. But we're in the year 2021 right now, so we can add on IoT, big data analytics, and also AI, artificial intelligence, to enhance the security features of our railway system. So some examples that can be done is efficient crowd control during emergencies. We can do suspicious behavior analysis. We can also try and track unattended items as well. So there's certainly a lot of room for innovation in this area without compromising the basic safety and security requirements for our railways. Next slide. So lastly is on the subject of noise and vibration. Now, this is a very important subject, especially when we're talking about urban rail and TODs. Because we're living near a railway line, so there's substantial amount of noise and vibration which are generated from the steel wheels on the trains and the steel rails on the track. So definitely some form of noise and vibration mitigation and reduction systems need to be deployed. So this comes from the EIA and environmental impact assessment and noise and vibration studies, which are mandatory for new construction of transit lines. And this combination of systems that come from rolling stock and also on-track NNV reduction systems. So the pictures on my right is an example of, for example, the top right-hand corner is a type of high attenuation fastenings installed on the MRT Kajang line. And on the bottom part is actually a rail lubrication system mounted on board the rolling stock. This is actually a Malaysian-made system as well, implemented on one of our LRT lines here in Malaysia. So there's a lot of ongoing R&D in this subject, and we from the industry can definitely contribute to some form of collaboration between with higher education institutes and as well as rail operators. We're also aware that there's a large active technical working groups which are looking into this particular subject. UIC being one of them. They've got I'm aware they have a large technical working group as well under the Shift to Rail joint undertaking for the European Union. So next slide. Right, so to the last part of my presentation, and that's the general way forward for what we can do to develop the railway industry. Next slide. So we have two parts, basically, when it comes to what MARIC can do and what we have been doing, actually, for the past 4 years. Firstly is the engagement with government ministries and agencies. There's been, a lot of master plans, policies, which have been developed by these agencies, and some of them old ones are being updated as well. So by having this engagement with them, we get to understand, the government and other stakeholder requirements when it comes to, new transit lines and industry development. The second part is actually getting the same, government ministries and rail operators, rail asset owners to meet the industry players. This can be done by briefings. We have market soundings or expression of interest for new and upcoming projects. And the reason we do this is so that we can get them to understand the local industry capabilities better. Some of us are involved in other sectors, and we're implementing newer technologies and newer solutions there. And we can't wait to bring them to the railway side. Some of us are working overseas. We're implementing projects overseas as well. So there's a lot of experience and knowledge that we would like to bring back here to Malaysia as well. So just to highlight some of our previous engagements in the past 2 years. Firstly is the Rail Technomart by MARIC, and we've held this in MITE's Partnership Hub in Cyberjaya. This is a really successful mini exhibition where we have our MARIC members showcase their products, and we invite a lot of, as I said, the same ministries and rail operators and asset owners to come over and meet them.
Sorry, Dr. Alvin, you have another less than 1 minute to wrap up.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, we'll do. So this is something that we've not been able to do this due to the COVID-19 pandemic, but we hope that we can do this in future. Secondly is we've had some engagements with the Ministry of Transport, Land and Logistics Department on industry development. This was done last year. Even during COVID-19, we still do our best to push our case for industry development. And of course, the RIDP, Rail Industry Development Program. We've had some discussions with MITI, Ministry of International Trade and Industry, and of course with the NRCOE as well, with the MOT. It's very heartening to see that the NRCOE is being formed, and we look forward to, it's a positive sign for our rail industry. We look forward to dealing with them in future as well. Next slide. So lastly, some long-term initiatives that we've been working and projects that we've been working under MARIC with the Malaysia Rail Industrial Park. We've got the Rail Trading House, and of course MARIC Incorporated. So the Rail Industrial Park is just a concept where we can house all of our MARIC members together to get further collaboration, especially in R&D and development of new products. The Rail Trading House is to assist MARIC members who are pursuing opportunities overseas. We can go together as a consortium. The same concept as well with the MARIC Incorporated. If you go back to the early infographic where I showed all of the members providing end-to-end system capabilities, MARIC Incorporated is just a concept where we can put that to practice. So next slide. I think that's the end of my presentation. Yep, that's come to the end of my presentation. I hope it was short and quite informative for you all. If you have any inquiries on MARIC, please do drop us an email at enquiries@maric.my. With that, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Arvin, for your presentation just now. We have one question for you, Dr. Arvin. How MARIC see on the IR 4.0 strategy in Malaysian rail industry?
Yes, thank you. So for that, for IR 4.0, as I mentioned, we from the industry do try our best to keep up with the times. We have, as I said, some of us are already implementing such innovative systems for other sectors. Of course, with regards to the railway side, we can certainly do that. But this requires a lot of collaboration with the rail operators. They are the ones who will be the end users of these rail systems that we are providing in the end of the day. And and I think with any IR 4.0 blueprint, there's definitely potential for that to be implemented here in Malaysia.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Arvin, for closing our panelist presentation and also our Q&A session. So hope everyone are enjoying and have added new information and knowledge on our railway in Malaysia. So we will pass back this symposium to our host, Mr. Aiman, for our closing remarks. Back to you, Mr. Aiman.
Thank you very much, Dr. Muhammad Azrin Hassan. And of course, thank you very much to all panelists for helping us become more aware of the problems and the way we can help solve them. A very thoughtful and insightful discussion indeed. Last but not least, I'm glad to invite town planners, Tuan Haji Ehsan Zainal Mokhtar, the President, Malaysian Institute of Planners, for closing remark.
Thank you. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And good afternoon, everyone. So, first and foremost, I must congratulate MARIC and UITM for this effort. It's been a good learning experience. What it has done is, for the audience, with very good information and knowledge with regards to the rail industry. And I think this kind of international forum should be done more frequently, as it exposes a lot of our participants and stakeholders with regards to rail and also land development. So what came out strongly, I think, was the fact that a lot of speakers touch on transit-oriented development, which is something that is very land-based, and rail, which connects all this land use activity, which is actually directly affected towards human and economic activities, goods and services as well. So in planning, we have always considered rail to be an essential and integral part of land use planning. But I would say that much as planning, the planning of rail itself has, I think, needs to be more integrated with what we do in land development and planning. It is there, but I think more should be done. So this effort by Marik and by UITM to marry the knowledge of the academicians and planning, I think it's essential. Of course, Dr. Jamal was there to give his view on land use planning, and there was Adam on assets, and Hasri from Marik, and Abdul Hadi, and we had Mark and Milko and Arvid giving into the details of the rail operations and assets. But how that was merged into land use planning, I think in Malaysia in particular, we can do more. We should work together more. Planning industry, the planners, especially the local authorities, and in national planning needs to look in a more integrated fashion of how one affects the other, so that we fully utilize the assets that we have, the skills and knowledge that we have to make rail work. Because rail has always been there and will always be in the future, because this has done wonders. There was a talk about COVID as well, and I think this adjustment towards the new normal, it's explained by one of the speakers, is something that we do need to take into consideration for it will be around for quite some time. Now, with that in mind, I hope this partnership that has been done with the Malaysian Institute of Planners, supporting Marik and UITM, can proceed with more seminars and more workshops and more integrated and long-term kind of relationship, because I think a knowledge-based society would only lead to better planning and also better and more efficient rail systems and assets management in the country. So with that, I would put on record that this engagement has been successful, and we do need to coordinate more of our physical land planning and design and the real experts and assets for the benefit of the movement of the people for goods and services. And thank you very much and congratulations to UITM and to Marik for supporting this and for organizing this international international conference, if I would webinar, if you like. It was very engaging. I was listening to it from very early on. I thought I would switch it off and come back, but I was listening to all speakers, which I find I learned a lot. So if we have that concept in our mind, we will have a better rail industry and a better planning activity as well. So thank you, UITM, Prof. Jamal. Thank you, Adam. Hope to have coffee with you one day, being my student before. Thank you, Marik. Thank you, Hasri, Abdul Hadi, Mark, Milko, and Arvid for a very comprehensive last paper to cover a lot of the details. And I hope this webinar has been successful. And congratulations to all speakers again, to all participants. May we all continuously be knowledge seekers for the benefit of humanity. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Town Planner, Tuan Haji Ihsan Zainal Mukhtar. Your thought and idea are going to stay with all of us. Thank you again. As the saying goes, to every beginning there is an ending, and now the program has come to its end. Once again, thank you everyone for progressing our program with your presence. We truly appreciate it. On behalf of the organizing committee, I would like to apologize if we have done any mistake throughout the event. I end my duty as host for today's event with wabillahi taufiq wa hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. For more information regarding our organization and of course our future exciting program, do visit our official MARIC website at www.maric.my and MARIC official Facebook page at Malaysian Rail Industry Corporation. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, organizer. Thank you all.